but the results have been consistent. In only 3 races has he been off the podium. And in spite of the odd frustration when a win escaped him, his tally of 6 victories is already one better than last year. And he lies 78 points ahead of teammate Jimmy Vasser. He hasn't avoided the stamp of officialdom, earning a probation for rough driving. But that has to be put aside now as he concentrates on his goal of being champion again. Hello and welcome to a sunny Canadian afternoon from Vancouver with me, Ben Edwards, and Jeremy Shaw. Round 15 of the FedEx Championship Series takes place around the 1.8-mile street course at Concord Pacific Place. It's a new track for the competitors, but the 9th time the teams have visited this attractive and dynamic city. A beautiful view just off Stanley Park there, but this is the view that we're going to be looking at this afternoon. The cars getting ready for the start of what will be a 90-lap race. Let's lead you through now the starting positions. Dario Franchitti is in his 3rd pole position in 5 races. Brian Herter has been out in accidents in the last 2 races. On the 2nd row, Alex Zanardi, his first time not on pole here in Vancouver. Greg Moore is alongside him, best qualifying in his home city.
Row 3, Tony Kanaan, the rookie driver, his best qualifying performance on the road course, and Michael Andretti, 3 wins here in Vancouver in the past. On row 4 of the grid, Paul Tracy never seems to have much luck in his home country, north of the border here. And Scott Pruitt, 8 times out of last 9 races, finishing in the top 10.
Helio Castroneves has his best ever road course qualifying in 9th, and Richie Hearn is 10th, trying to improve on his best finish this year, which is a 5th place. Bobby Rahal lines up in 11th place, and Christian Fittipaldi is alongside him, fastest in the free practice.
Row 7 of the grid, Mauricio Gugelmin, he won this race last year, his first Champ Car victory, and Gilles de Ferran, he crashed yesterday in qualifying, had to switch to the backup car. Row 8 of the grid, Jimmy Vasser, he's been struggling all weekend with the 2nd of the target cars, and JJ Leto, he's been pretty competitive, a little bit of understeer, but quite happy with the car.
9th row, Patrick Carpentier, his first race in Vancouver. Mark Blundell, 7th last year. 10th row, Andre Ribeiro, still wearing protection for the leg he broke in Road America. Arndt Meyer, his best ever qualifying on a road course in the Lola.
Row 11, Adrian Fernandez, he crashed yesterday, a big crash in the warm-up in turn 14. Alanza Jr. never finished lower than 5th in Vancouver. He's going to struggle from there. On row 12, the 2 Archero Wells Toyota cars, Max Papis and Robbie Gordon.
Row 13, Michel Jourdain. He went off in the warm-up this morning. Alongside him is PJ Jones in his last outing for All-American races. And the final row of the grid sees Alex Barron, who's had a host of problems in qualifying, and Dennis Vitolo alongside him, a full 2 seconds slower than Alex Barron. So the cars are out there warming up their tyres, getting ready to build up the speed here. Let's take a quick look at this track map. It is a new circuit for the year, a 14-turn course, 1.8 miles long, some tricky, demanding corners to deal with.
Big variety of corners here, pretty challenging racetrack indeed, and only the section that you see there between turn 4 and 6 was in use here last year. The rest of the racetrack, completely different. Big variety of corners, pretty wide in places, fairly narrow in others, particularly here. This is turn 14 in front of the pits. Very fast, very dangerous corner indeed. Seen a couple of offs there. That's where Fernandez crashed yesterday. But a big problem on this racetrack, it is awfully difficult to pass.
Now let's remind you on the front row then, Franchitti and Franchitti and Herter, the 2 of them who clashed together at Mid-Ohio when Dario started on pole and Brian started in 3rd place and had a great start there. Of course, they'll be hoping for much better things on this occasion, hoping that things won't go wrong. We've gathered there's some problems for Helio Castroneves. He's dropped back down the queue. Yeah,
he's actually in the pit lane. We look over here from my vantage point here, Ben. I can see Helio Castroneves, the Alimax car, in the pit lane. They're working on the side. That looks like maybe some kind of electrical problem, and maybe he can get that up to speed again.
Now, there's a potential big payday here. It pays to be first, $10,000 for winning the pole, $100,000 to the race winner as normal. The pole bonus, $330,000. Total payday. If you win from pole, if Dario wins, that is, he will win $440,000. A huge payday. So that really is a very massive thing to aim for. In the points table, Alex Zanardi, a chance of being champion today. He has to lead this race with with more than 88 points over Vassar, Fernandez and Moore. There are 4 races left. There's a potential 22 at each race.
Yeah, there's 20 points for a win, 1 for the pole and 1 for leading most laps. And that's a pretty tall order for anybody else to win these final 4 races, and for Zanardi not even to pick up a point. But that's the scenario. If he leaves here with 88 points in the lead, it's all over with.
Yeah, he can be champion here today. Now, in fact, last year, 12 months ago, he had a chance of winning the championship in Vancouver, and we saw the most wild and crazy race from Alex. He led, he went down the escape road a couple of times. It really was quite entertaining.
It was indeed, and you know, twice his last 2 appearances here in Vancouver, he has started from the pole and has failed to win the race. So perhaps this time he starts third. Maybe it'll be third time lucky for Alex Zanardi.
Here we go then, getting ready for the start of the race in Vancouver. Out of the final quarter, ready for the green flag, and it's a good getaway for Dario Franchitti. He gets the foot down hard. The green flag flies, and they too go into the first corner safely. Moore trying to get around the outside of Canaan, doesn't do it, and now Moore gets squeezed out by Michael Andretti. Good start that from Andretti, and he picked up the pace there as Greg Moore tried to get past Canaan and failed, and in fact Tracy's got past Greg Moore as well. So the battle of the Canadians, Paul Tracy going well, and Scott Pruitt trying to get past him. So Greg Moore's made a terrible start.
Yeah, that's he paid the price there for trying to make that move into the first corner. Ended up losing 2 positions, and that's not what he wanted. It is difficult to pass here, and he's trying to make it. We just saw at the corner of the screen there, Michael Andretti under pressure from Paul Tracy, dives the inside, but he wisely backs out of there. That's a tough place in turn 8. It's a pretty quick corner, probably 3rd gear, and now again there's all sorts of jockeying position here, but Tracy wisely got out of that situation with Michael Andretti and lets Andretti take that line, try to get next time.
So we're still on the first lap at the moment to see whether they survive. Franchitti's opened up a good advantage already over Brian Herter in 2nd, Alex Zanardi in 3rd. It's Tony Kanaan, the young Brazilian, in 4th place, a rookie this year, leading the rookie chase, of course, and doing another superb job here this weekend as Franchitti crosses the line. He has a lead of 2.3 seconds over Brian Herter already. Brilliant opening lap from the Scotsman, who won last time out in Road America and has been in great form here this weekend. Herter now trying to defend 2nd place from Alex Zanardi. Canaan is keeping in touch. Then a little gap back to Michael Andretti with Paul Tracy, Greg Moore, Scott Pruitt, Richie Hearn and Bobby Rahal, the cars that are chasing after them. In fact, we've got a problem for Adrian Fernandez. Fernandez comes into the pits with a damaged left front. A little bit of suspension damage, it looks to me, that wheel at a drunken angle. You're looking out on circuit, we're looking from our commentary position. There it is, and you can see his left front wheel as looking very strange indeed.
Looks like perhaps the suspension arm there broken on that car, and the team goes to work. Mike Sales and the crew, they're trying to change that. There is Mike Sales working on that left front corner. Very experienced English-born crew chief on that car. Very, very good crew chief indeed, and he was running 3rd in the points, of course, coming into this weekend. He's been very consistent all season, really. It's certainly his best season in the championship cars. Done a very, very good job indeed.
Yes, he has, but it's not had a good weekend. He had the crash in free practice yesterday morning, and now it looks as though the problems, he may have had a bit of contact either with a wall or another car. We haven't found out yet, but as we watch this battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, Herter, Zanardi, Canaan, let me tell you that Franchitti's lead is up to 3.2 seconds at the end of just 2 laps. Brilliant performance. His last lap very nearly a second faster than this group of cars chasing him, and it certainly looks as though Herter, at least, has not got the pace to chase after Franchitti. That could lead to Zanardi getting frustrated. It could lead to him making an attempt to get into 2nd position. He will not want to see Franchitti escaping at this race.
No, indeed he won't. But you've got to be patient on this kind of a racetrack. The probability of full course cautions are fairly high. That'll bring the field back to Dario Franchitti. This stage in the race, no point in getting it carried away at all. Just keeping a nice consistent pace, get comfortable in the car, and don't work anything too hard in the early stages of the race.
That's right. Franchitti controlling things at the moment, but of course very aware that in Canada this year he's already had a race where he led the majority, only to lose it towards the end when a braking problem caught him out into the first corner. And Franchitti, winning last time out, will have that little bit more confidence here today, but there's an awful long way to go in this race. It's a long race, this one. 90 laps has been scheduled, and it's going to run fairly close to the maximum 2-hour limit. So these drivers really do have to settle into a rhythm now, find their pace, not rush things too much, and stay out of trouble. This track catches catches out the unwary like really very few others. Many street tracks are unforgiving, but this one, according to what the drivers have been telling us, is probably one of the most unforgiving.
Yes, it certainly is, and there's quite a lot of slow corners. It is not as fast as the old track here that went around BC Place Stadium, but it is very demanding, and there is a couple of or three places on this track that it's very easy to make a mistake. And actually where Michael is coming up to now, turn 11, is one of them. We've seen a couple of people off the road there during practice and qualifying, including Robbie Gordon, who crashed heavily there on Friday morning.
We saw a quick glimpse of Fernandez back out of the pit. Zanardi closing up to the back of Herta's car and looking for a chance to overtake, but this is where the thing is going to become extremely difficult, because overtaking on this track is proving to be hard. We've seen the Indy Lights cars out already today, a race that was won by Cristiano De Mata, who went on, in fact, to wrap up the championship as a result of that. There were some overtaking manoeuvres in the race, but very few. You could count them on the fingers of one hand, basically, and overtaking is definitely going to be tough around this track. Zanardi sliding his way as he comes out of that chicane, turn number 7. Dario Franchitti is race leader with a 4.6-second advantage over Brian Herta.
Want to know everything about the 1998 Kart Championship? Drivers, cars, engines, teams, pit crews, sponsors, media, and circuits. It's all in the official Who Works in Kart. 620 pages of essential reading with over 500 color photos packed with information about kart racing. Order your own copy now.
Formula One air filters for your car.
Just walking in the rain, getting soaking wet, torture in my heart, by trying to forget.
Wer mal nicht zu uns kommen will, kommt per Telefon oder PC mit Sparkasse direkt.
Wenn's um Geld geht, Sparkasse.
Krombacher. Ein Pilz. Kostbar wie seine Natur. Frisch und rein wie das Felsquellwasser, mit dem es gebraut wird. Krombacher. Eine Perle der Natur.
One finger being given as the cars come round, ready to take the restart next lap around. So 1.8 miles, they're beginning to accelerate to get some heat in the tyres. Now, the restarts are going to be opportunities to overtake, there's no doubt there. And we may see a few people taking some risks. At the background of the picture, you saw Gilles de Ferran and JJ Leto. They're running in 13th and 14th positions. Behind them, Andre Ribeiro's 15th. Max Papis is in 16th place. And Robbie Gordon is 17th. Now, just looking down the list there, Jeremy, Mark Blundell. Oh, Zanardi's lost it. Zanardi spun it on the, would you believe it, on the pace lap. As they've been getting ready to come round to take the restart, he can't get it straightened up. And Zanardi, what is he doing? He's lost control of the car. He needs a push back. He's really messed it up this time in the early stages of the race. Alex Zanardi trying to get it into reverse gear. The rest of the field goes past. I was just about to say Mark Blundell's dropped back, and we just saw him go past. Let's see if we get a replay here of what actually happened.
Yeah, here they are coming out of turn 4 there, Dario Franchitti and Brian Herta, and there goes Alex. He just gets on the power coming out of the corner, spins it around, keeps it off the wall, and he tries to do one of his donuts there to try and get it spinning. It wasn't really a heck of a lot of room, and ended up stalling the engine. So Well, very bizarre. He doesn't seem to think, oh, there he is praying for a push start, so at least he doesn't lose a lap.
That's
but,
right.
He'll have to wait for the kart safety team to come on around, and they should be there pretty quickly before certainly the race leaders will come past again. So he needn't worry too much. He's not going to lose a lap. It doesn't matter really whether it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or over a minute. But here we are on board with Alex Zanardi. He gets the power coming out of the corner, and whoops, around she goes. Egg on your face there, Alex.
Well, very much so, Jeremy. I mean, the idea was to try and get some heat into the rear tyres. That's why he accelerated so hard. They do have a reason, but that was just carelessness on his part to accelerate so hard. He has got going before the leaders have come round, so of course he'll have to start right at the back of the pack. Now, I know he fought his way up last year impressively on the other circuit here in Vancouver. It looks as though the team are going to take advantage of this point to bring him in the pits. They might as well. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain. And Alex Zanardi is now set up for one of those fight-back drives that we've seen on a number of occasions. But on this track, with the overtaking so limited, well, he's going to have to pull something extremely special out of the bag this time. And of course, the championship now is not looking quite so easy here today.
No, it's not. And I can't believe he did that. But, you know, all is not yet lost. He's done this sort of thing before. It is tougher to pass here than it was on the old track. But you never know with Alex Zanardi. And I think some of the guys towards the back of the field need to keep a close watch on their mirrors. The sort of mood he's going to be in, he's going to be coming past like it or not, and the chance of him getting away with that and passing 15 or 16 or 17 cars, he'll actually be 24th when he comes out, in actual fact, so have a lot more people to pass than that. And if he gets through to the end of this race without having another incident, I think I'll buy you a beer, Ben.
Absolutely, yeah, well, we shall have to wait and see. The tyres go on, the fuel goes aboard, they take advantage of his own created yellow to refuel, make their first pit stop, but of course the leaders still to make their first pit stop.
Yeah, and also during that yellow we had Alonso Jr. in the pits. We had both All-American racers car, Alex Barron and PJ Jones, Mark Blundell and also Dennis Vitolo also came in. So those guys have all made a pit stop. They will be able to go at least another 10 or 12 laps more than anybody else when the pit stop sequence comes around, which ordinarily would be in about another 15, 16, 17 laps. We've got 16 laps in the books right now, and ordinarily they would be looking to make their first pit stop around about lap 30.
So Zanardi rejoins the fray. He will be right at the back of the field. Now we really are going to have to see some Zanardi magic if he's going to feature in the points. Dario Franchitti is ready to take the green flag. The green flag waves and away they go again. Is anybody going to take advantage of this restart? Let's take a look down here. Christian Fittipaldi making a move on Bobby Rahal as they go down into turn number 1. Good restart that from Christian, who's been quick in the free practice sessions. Unfortunately didn't get a clear lap in qualifying and didn't manage to do much about getting a good position. But he has got past Bobby Rahal now as they get onto this restarted lap. It's lap number 18 we're on to now. There's still some 72 to go.
And Alex Zanardi actually hasn't come past. Here he comes now, Alex Zanardi. There he goes past start-finish line. So he's a good minute or so behind certainly the race leaders, and a long way back from the last car on the road, which is PJ Jones.
Yeah, so it actually hasn't worked that well for Zanardi. By making that pit stop, timing hasn't worked that well. He wasn't able to get onto the back of the queue. He really needs another yellow. He needs another yellow to be able to close up to the back of the cars. There is our race leader, Dario Franchitti. Race winner last time out in Road America. By all accounts, there were some long celebrations that night in Road America after his success. Actually, he went out with Greg Moore and had a real party time after the race. They weren't in a particularly healthy state the next day, but Dario deserved to celebrate a very well-earned victory. Watch Tony Kanaan here in the yellow, blue and red car. He is hounding Brian Herter for second position. This is proving to be a very interesting battle indeed. Tony Kanaan with the Honda Cower in the back of his Reynard, and both of them on the Firestone tyres. Brian Herter busily trying to defend that, and Herter seems to be a little slow on cold tyres. Once he gets up to temperature, then he seems to be as quick as anybody. Kanaan there just dropped back another length or two, and he's got to watch out because there, the menacing black machine of Michael Andretti, ever present and always ready to take advantage should anything befall the cars ahead of him. Michael's had some bad luck in recent races. He had that tyre explode in the last race and that huge accident and the one before that in mid-Ohio. So I think he'd just like to have a race with a little less action in it this time around.
Yeah, he always goes well on this racetrack here. 3 wins he's had in the past in Vancouver. He loves the city of Vancouver. He and Alan Jr. won 3 races apiece here. And but he knows full well, of course, on this kind of racetrack, you need to be around to the finish before you're going to win the race.
Look at this, Greg Moore's trying to make a move on Paul Tracy, but he doesn't take too big a gamble. Decides that he's not quite there. Doesn't repeat Patrick Carpentier's move on Jimmy Vasser. That's already seen them both out of this race. Greg Moore lies in 6th position so far. Richie Hearn behind him in 7th. Then it's Scott Pruitt in 8th place. Bobby Rahal finds himself in 9th now. Maurizio Guterman 10th, and Fittipaldi's dropped back to 11th. So although Christian made up that place on the restart, he's lost it again, and he's got all that work to do once more. De Ferran is our final potential point scorer in 12th. Behind him, JJ Leto, Andre Ribeiro, Robbie Gordon, Max Papis, Helio Castroneves, and Alonso Jr. We'll keep an eye on the lap times of Alex Zanardi. He's just done a 1 minute 8.3, which is 1.6 seconds faster than the race leader did on that last lap. Meanwhile, Christian Fittipaldi has just got, well, he's battling there with JJ Leto, but JJ must have got ahead of him. I wonder what happened to Christian. He did seem to lose a fair bit of time there.
Yeah, not quite sure whether he tried to pass Guterman there, but he certainly lost quite a bit of ground. In the meantime, though, the race leaders pulled out a huge lead, and Herder is really under pressure. They're keeping down to the inside line going to turn 1, and there is one of the All-American Racers cars off the road. That is the Reynard of P.J. Jones, who has spun.
Yeah, Jones has lost it. That's down at the exit of the support pits. That's turn number 9. Now, I'm just wondering whether Kanaan managed to get past Herter there. I couldn't quite see. We lost sight of them as they went through the first turn. They were certainly very, very close. I think, you say, Jeremy, Herter probably defended. Yes, he did. Look, there you are. They were so close as they came past us, weren't they?
They certainly were, right together. And Herter drive right down the inside of the racetrack. The full course yellow flags are out. 2 yellow flags here by Jim Swintel, the official starter. You see the yellow flags being waved around the course, and certainly good news for Brian Herder. And I know he dropped back on the initial start of the race, but Dennis Vitello spun under yellow again. How many times has he done that this year?
How many times has he spun this weekend? That's the big question.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. He's been off in every single session, and PJ's off there in turn. I think that's turn 9. Mr. Vitolo, yeah, really, goodness.
I know, he's really had a torrid time with it this weekend. We're sort of wondering how long the card officialdom would let him stay out there, but our race leaders into the pits. We have the leaders in the pit lane now, and Dario Franchitti. The team goes to work. A little bit of an angle there, Dario. You didn't get it quite lined up perfectly. Hopefully that hasn't made them have to stretch the fuel hose at all to get him back out. They go to work. Now they've got to try and get him out clear. There's so much activity in the pit lane. That's the challenge. Now, what about Herter? Is Herter going to come? Yes, there Herter goes, but Franchitti's already gone out. Brian gets out carefully. Oh, but he's passed by Kanaan and several others.
And there on the outside is Alex Zanardi trying to get in the line there, trying not to lose too many positions. He's got ahead of Brian Herder there. That could be very significant indeed. And there is Alex Zanardi. He will move up into around about 4th or 5th place, I think, at worst perhaps. And a good stop there by that crew. There is Dennis Vitolo's car, stationary. We see Tony Kanaan out here. What a great pit stop by the Tasman crew by the looks of things. And a few cars, of course, had already made a pit stop, so did not need to come in. And the fact that Alex Zanardi was so far behind the pack meant that he wasn't able to go through and take over the lead of the race. But we'll see how they come around here and see what the order settles down to. But very, very interesting scenario there.
Yes, so it is tight out of that pit lane, though. Those cars really were very close coming out of the pit lane. Franchitti, though, got out in front, and that's the crucial thing for him. And we still have a few cars who haven't made such good stops, but Franchitti's well up.
Yeah, you can stay, but keep your hands to yourself.
Technology that can nourish the earth. Advanced plastics with the ability to inspire.
Good morning, kids.
engines that bring us together. Machines with the power to help heal. Ideas to illuminate our secrets and bring new ways to share them.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno.
At GE, everything we do to fulfill the promise of a new day.
In vielen Orten Deutschlands liefern wir ziemlich früh. In Europa nur wenig später. Und selbst weltweit sind wir oft schon vor Mittag da.
This is TNT, ready to take off.
TNT, Global Express, Logistics and Mail.
Back in Vancouver, and all action here as the cars circulate behind the pace car, with several cars having spun off in recent laps. 22 are being completed. Our leader now is actually Helio Castroneves. He has not come into the pits yet. He's decided to stay out a bit longer. Alonso Jr. is second, Blundell is third, then Barron, and then Dario Franchitti. Now remember, Franchitti was race leader, but Unser, Blundell, Barron all stopped earlier on. They stopped under one of the earlier yellows, hoping that that would help them as this race progressed. So Castroneves is race leader as they come up to take the green flag this time, and it'll take a while as we go through this race for it all to settle down with the various pit stop strategies. Franchitti still well placed though. There he is ahead of Canaan, then Paul Tracy, and Alex Zanardi now finds himself up into 8th place, and that's pretty amazing. He managed to scrabble his way through these first couple of corners, get past a few people like Greg Moore and Brian Herter. Herter finds himself down in 9th now, and Greg Moore is down in 10th position.
And Sergio Herder was a big loser there in those pit stops. He lost several positions in the pits, and of course is now behind Alex Zanardi as well, so he won't like that. They're all, of course, on the same strategy now. Everybody has made one pit stop. What's going to be interesting to see whether Zanardi can get to the end of this race on just one more stop. It's going to be awfully tight. I don't think, unless there aren't a few more caution periods, I don't think he'll be able to do it, frankly. But it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility, and a few caution laps would help his case enormously.
That's right, yes, and having seen some of the incidents we have already, I wouldn't put too much money against there being some more caution periods. It really only takes a spin from somebody, they can't get the car going again, and they have to bring out the full course caution. And we've seen that on a number of occasions already, most recently for PJ Jones and for Dennis Vitolo. Now then, look at this as Dario Franchitti moves up past Alex Barron. It's a genuine battle for position. Barron is genuinely in that, well, now 5th position as a result of the different strategy, but he's playing it sensible. He's not getting in the way of these cars, which are appreciably faster than he is in this early stage of the race. There's Barron with the yellow crash helmet. That's the Eagle chassis, remember, that he's driving. All-American racers building their own car. Dan Gurney's team with the Eagle chassis. Although, having said that, quite a lot of Reynard parts on the car. Yeah, the Reynard transmission they use is pretty much a whole the Reynard rear end on that car. But very nice chassis and a very tidy aerodynamic pit package. And there is Tony Kanaan down the inside there into turn 8. Nice move. Also on the exit, Paul Tracy takes advantage as well of that move by Tony Kanaan. Yes, and Barron playing it sensibly. He's not moving out of their way easily, but if somebody gets a line on him, then he is giving them the room they need to race past. Barron goes through the picture. We mentioned right at the start of the program that this is the last outing for PJ Jones with All-American racers. That's as a result of the fact that he's informed Dan Gurney he's not going to be driving for the team, not available to drive for the team next year. And Dan Gurney has said that, well, in that case, he'd like to take the opportunity to perhaps try some new drivers at the end of this season before they make their plans for 1999. So PJ Jones won't be racing the car in Laguna Seca. Well, that's true, and I think quite likely that PJ Jones may end up at Patrick Racing, and that'll be a very good move for him, of course, to fill the shoes of Scott Pruitt, who announced a couple of weeks ago that he will be ski across to the Arciero Wells team to take the place of Max Papis, who instead will go to Team Rahal. So that's a silly season as we see it so far amongst the FedEx Championship Series. Lots of very interesting moves.
and I think the latest one of those will be PJ Jones completing the circuit, if you will.
Word is that it will be another Italian coming into the scene in Laguna Seca, Vincenzo Sospiri, well known in European racing circles, and he is likely to be driving the All-American Races second car next time out in Laguna Seca. Now then, Bobby Rahal will be right on board with the veteran who lies down in 13th position at the moment. Of course, he was the last driver to take back-to-back championship titles in 1986 and 1987, and that's what Alex Zanardi is trying to repeat this year. He might even manage to do that today. We're looking now at Tony Kanaan in the LCI-sponsored Tasman car, and he's behind the Motorola car of Britain's Mark Blundell. Blundell runs in 4th position at the moment, and he had some problems early in the race, then made an early pit stop, looking for some strategy to help him on his way. He has been on the pace thereabouts in some of the practice sessions this weekend. Again, qualifying was not good for him. He qualified down in 18th position, and he even had a bit of an irate Alex Zanardi discussing things with him after that qualifying session. Alex reckoned that Mark got in the way. Certainly by our pictures, it didn't look as though Alex was anywhere near Mark on at least one of those occasions. So perhaps Alex was just getting a little bit carried away.
Yeah, by Alex's count, apparently 7 times Mark held him up. He was obviously counting as he went around the racetrack in his qualifying lap, which is quite impressive. But certainly he wasn't very happy about it afterwards. And however, Alex did admit to himself to holding up Paul Tracy when he was on his quick lap as well. So it's really pretty much a give and take. That's the sort of racetrack this one is.
Yes, you have to allow for other people, and you have to give them a little bit of room. Helio Castroneves still has not come into the pits, but we will have to expect him in soon. We're coming up to the 30-lap mark fairly soon. 27 completed at the moment. But of course, remember, Alonso Jr. has pitted, so he's in good shape at the moment. He lies in 2nd position. Frank Kitty is in 3rd. Blundell is in 4th. Kanaan 5th. Tracy 6th. Barron in 7th. Alex Zanardi still in 8th place. Herta is 9th. Then Greg Moore 10th. Richie Hearn 11th. And Michael Andretti finds himself way down in 12th position. So Castroneves is our race leader. He has a 4.2-second advantage over Alonso Jr. And then it's Frank Kitty and Blundell. So Castroneves driving well at the moment. He's been fairly quick here this weekend. Remember, he's driving for the Tony Bettenhausen team with the Alimax sponsorship. You're looking at the moment at Brian Herta. He's down in 9th position. As we mentioned, one of the big losers in that first round of pit stops. He's got Greg Moore bearing down on him, with Richie Hearn in 11th place and Michael Andretti in 12th position. Through out of that final corner. Look at this is getting really racy. Moore now has a little look to the outside. Herta seems to be holding this little group up at the moment.
Yeah, no question about that, is that, Ben? And he's been doing that all the race long. He's had a queue of cars behind. It was Alex Zanardi earlier on, and now it's Greg Moore then, and Richie Hearn, and then behind that Andretti, Rahal, Pruitt, DeFerrin, on down the list. A big long train of cars there. And then a little bit farther up the road there is the car of Tony Kanaan in the foreground. That is Paul Tracy, who is running in 6th position there, the second of the 2 cool cars.
Yeah, they're both running well this weekend. Good to see Paul Tracy qualifying a little better than he has done this year. 7th position for Tracy on this occasion, and much happier. He knows where the time was lost. As you mentioned, Alex Zanardi got in his way in qualifying a touch, so Tracy could have done even better than that, and it's good to see both Team Green cars up there. Really, it's been Dario who's been starring in that show this season. Tracy's had such a tough time of it, but perhaps now beginning to get back a little bit of the confidence he lost earlier on. There is Frank Kitty. Now, this is the situation with Unser and Frank Kitty lapping Dennis Vitolo, but that's the battle for second as Alex Zanardi tries to get past Fernandez. And Fernandez way down, 2 laps down, not keen to let him through yet.
Hi, everybody out there. I've just got to have a short break. I feel this irresistible urge for... Do you want to hear it again? If you want to taste it, crack it. Ritter Sport.
uns gehen Rallye-Erfolge in Serie. Der Toyota Corolla, immer in Bestform.
What's the capital of Mexico? Is it Guadalajara, Mexico City, or Acapulco? Colombia TriStar and the Mask of Zorro present a Eurosport competition to win a holiday for two to Cancun in Mexico. Runners-up receive a Mask of Zorro surprise gift. Make your mark. And good luck.
120 years of tradition. One distinctive recipe. 0 preservatives. 100% natural ingredients. 5% alcohol equals 1 good beer. That's too smooth for words. Budweiser, the best reason in the world to drink beer.
On Monday night, Eurosport becomes a youth-only zone. Yosmag is all about extreme sports. A helmet is mandatory. As well as action, there are interviews, portraits, and startling reports. We're going off the beaten track, so check it out.
Yosmag, Monday, 2000 CET, 7 UK, on Eurosport. With Fisherman's Friend.
Swatch.
And Thompson.
61 laps to go as Helio Castroneves continues to lead here in Vancouver. Alonso Jr. is in second position, Dario Franchitti in third, Mark Blundell is fourth, then Tony Kanaan and Paul Tracy. Franchitti right up behind Alonso Jr. last time around. Meanwhile, Alex Zanardi's got himself a bit stuck behind Adrian Fernandez. Fernandez, who had a bent suspension earlier on and then had made a pit, but he's now running very much on the pace.
Yes, he is indeed, and he was actually, after he made that pit stop, he came out pretty much ahead of Dario Franchitti, the race leader, through that first part of the stint, and was running exactly the same lap times pretty much as Dario, and that's again the situation here. There are a few, there's still Alex Barron ahead of, that's Adrian Fernandez immediately ahead here of Alex Zanardi, and ahead of that is Alex Barron, who's running pretty well in that Eagle Toyota. They had all sorts of problems this weekend, mainly with a leaking fuel oil tank on that car, which they had a horrible job trying to find the cause of, but the Eagle Toyota really running nicely there in Alex Barron's hands.
Yes, let's hope it runs reliably through towards the end of this race. We're at 1/3 distance now, exactly. 30 laps have been completed, and Helio Castroneves will have to come in soon. There you are. A look at the fuel window. He can get up to about lap 35 perhaps before he needs to come in, but it's got to be soon.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He pulled away from Alex Jr. 2 seconds on that last lap, 1:06.939. The best that we got Dario Franchitti through that first stint was a 7.3. So 6.9 there for Helio Castroneves, of course. Low fuel now on that car. Goodyear tyres, of course, but he's really running a nice pace and well out ahead of these two. This is the battle for second place. Alonso Jr. cannot hold on to Helio Castroneves.
Oh.
There's an engine blow up for somebody.
Yeah, we've got a major blow. It's Bobby Rahal. Oh, the man who's had so much good in terms of success and results here, and this is in fact going into the Indy Lights pit lane. This is the support pit lane down at the back part of the track, coming between turns 8 and 9, and it's all over for Bobby. Unusual to see an engine let go this early in this kind of a race. They're not running at full revs for very long here, but the Ford has cried enough for Bobby, and that's the end. Come on, guys, what are you doing, he says. He shrugs his shoulders. I think it's more engine smoke than fire, but I think the marshal's getting a little carried away down there at the end of the support paddock pit lane. Waving his arms. I think the marshal's keen to do something, as his wife Debbie keeps an eye on things on the monitor. Well, it's a shame to see Bobby go out so early in a town in which he's done so well in the past.
Yeah, that's very true, and he's had phenomenal results here in the past, and he loves to come into this sort of race. So this here and Toronto, the two Canadian street circuits, he has done phenomenally well, and in the 8 appearances here, Bobby Rahal has had a whole string of seconds and thirds. He's only twice been out of the top 5. and he really does go well on both of these sorts of tracks, but not today for Bobby Rahal.
No, sadly not. There you are, watching Alex Barron come through the picture. And Fernandez and Zanardi still going there. Zanardi might be frustrated, but Fernandez is doing a fine job. It's up to Alex to try and find a way past, and Fernandez is going very quickly at this point, even though he's a couple of laps down. And of course, Adrian won't want to back off. He's in his own race, trying to perhaps still be around at the finish and pick up some useful points, even though he's a couple of laps down at the moment. So, Alex Zanardi, his work is cut out for him here today. There he is, chasing the championship, looking to try and wrap up the title. As you can see, he started 3 times here in Vancouver. Best finish last year when he finished in 4th, but that doesn't tell all the story, because he led in both occasions. He started on pole on both occasions, both in 96 and in 97. Alex was the star of qualifying, and he led both races, only for problems to intervene. Last year it was braking problems going down the escape road, and the year before it was the problem lapping PJ Jones that really cost him any chance of the race win. Alex apparently is asking for the blue and crossed yellow move over flag to be waved at Adrian Fernandez. It is actually being waved from the start finish line. I can see from here that just across the way from the flag station, our commentary box, they are giving that blue flag to Adrian, and at the moment though he's not moving out of the way, so Alex Zanardi has to try and find his own way past.
Yes, and he'll have a hard time doing it. I think Adrian, he knows he can run fast. He doesn't think he's holding up Alex Zanardi. Certainly Alex doesn't seem to be that close behind him. And he hasn't. Oh, there is Mark Blundell into the escape road there. He throws away 4th position as he goes almost straight on there and just gets out ahead of Paul Tracy again, trying to get back up to speed. He'll have dirty tyres now. He'll be offline there. He's very slow through turn 10. Will Paul Tracy be able to take advantage? Well, Mark Blundell keeps the door well shut, and Paul Tracy no way past. And the tyres should now be clean, I think, again on the Motorola car, and hopefully Mark Blundell will be able to maintain that position and now back down to 5th place.
Well, I think we can expect to see that happening throughout the course of this race, and perhaps more seriously, Mark actually saved it. He didn't quite go down the escape road. He just managed to scrabble around. But as this race continues, it's going to be hard on brakes, and there's going to be a number of visits to the escape roads, I think. Not just at turn number 8, but perhaps into turn 4 and 1 or 2 other places. That's turn 4 they're going through at the moment. And Paul Tracy, disappointed he wasn't able to take advantage of that, and still climbing all over the back of the Pac West car. Meanwhile, let me tell you that Helio Castroneves still not into the pits. He's completed 34 laps now. Surely he's only got about another lap or 2 in terms of fuel in the car. Alonso Jr. still 2nd, Franchitti in 3rd, then Canard in 4th. Blundell now finds himself back to 5th, Tracy in 6th. There is the battle for 2nd, with Al Unser Jr. and Dario Franchitti contesting that position at the moment.
Franchitti won't be too concerned at this stage. He knows that Al Unser Jr. Is not going to be really a contender for this win. I think that stop that he made under yellow, I think he's going to be too early for him to be able to make the finish on just 1 more pit stop, so I don't think he's going to be a factor come the end of the race. And Dario really just biding his time at this stage, doesn't want to make a silly move, and he knows he's ahead there of Tony Kanaan, who's running, keeping pace with him there, right behind. Certainly Unser's doing a nice job. Don't take it away from Al Unser Jr. He has finished among the top 5 every single time he's raced here, and I suggest at the top of the show he might have a hard time doing it, but he's certainly showing right this afternoon and just now that he has the pace, at least, to be up in the top 5. It's just a track position. He has it now, but he will have to stop within the next 10 or 12 laps, and then he will lose the track position again.
Yeah, so things perhaps not ideal for Al Unser Jr., but as you say, he's doing a fine job up there at the moment in the Penske. This brand new Penske for this year. It's been a very up and down year, mainly down, I have to say. They really haven't shown the sort of pace that they need to with this car. There have been flashes when it looks as though the car is on the pace, and then next race or 2 doesn't seem to be quite there again. And still a lot of development work to be done to get it to work at its best. Out of turn number 14 to complete another lap, and Helio Castroneves has a 14-second advantage over these 2. Is that right? Can he really be that far ahead?
Yes, he can. He's been pulling away at, well, 1.5 seconds a lap the last 3 or 4 laps, and really extending that lead. And there, Tony Kanaan, of course, the 3rd car in this group, has now closed up onto the tail of Dario Franchitti.
Yeah, well, As you say, Alonso Jr. is going well, but I think he is costing these guys perhaps up to a second a lap. They could go that much faster if they were able to get through. And this is where, of course, you've got to decide whether you take the gamble to get past a car like Alonso Jr. and go for the risky move, or do you just sit and wait patiently knowing that he's got to come into the pits probably 2 more times as opposed to your 1 time, and just sit there and wait to see what happens. It's a difficult choice, and Dario has to try and work that out as he sits in behind Alonso Jr.'s Penske, with Tony Kanaan closing up behind.
I think his main focus at this point in the race, he knows how difficult it is to pass, and if you were to make a move on Alonso Jr., Al would probably let him go and not contest it too much, but it is so difficult to get into a position to make that move. And I think at this stage in the race, Franchitti will be more concerned about making sure he doesn't make a mistake of his own that would allow Tony Kanaan to go past.
Now then, here we are. Here's our race leader, due to come in very soon, but what an impressive stint this has been from Helio Castroneves. He's the only one of the front-running drivers to have pushed the fuel right up to this stage, and he's going to have to stop under green flag conditions, which isn't going to help him enormously, but he's built up a very comfortable 15-second cushion. Brilliant performance that from Helio Castroneves in his first season, remember, the 23-year-old who had a best result at Milwaukee earlier this year when he finished in 2nd.
And he's lapping beautifully consistently the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laps, all at 1 minute 7.2 or 7.3. That's super driving by Helio Castroneves. Before that, a couple of slightly quicker laps, a 6.9 and a 7.0, but just doing a wonderful job once again for Team Alimax. This guy is a star. He's finished a close 2nd last year in the Indian Lights Championship to Tony Kanaan, who we see him running in 4th place. Of course, there is Tony at the back of this picture, but they're great buddies, and they're both very, very talented indeed.
There you are looking at Paul Tracy. He lies in 6th position behind Mark Blundell at the moment. 7th still Barron, and let me tell you that Alex Zanardi still in 8th place. His last lap a 1 minute 8.3, so a pretty rapid lap, but he hasn't made up much progress yet. Through turns 6 and 7. Tracy accelerates in 2nd gear. The back end of the car slides around a little bit as those rear tyres complain about putting 900 horsepower down onto this smooth tarmac surface that makes up the bottom part of the track. He's dropped away a little bit from Mark Blundell over the last few laps, but again lapping reasonably consistently. A couple of cars in the 7s. In fact, Paul was into the 1 minute 7s himself last time around. Good lap there from Mark Blundell as well, trying to make up for his little mistake when he went down the escape road. You can see here, by the way, Alex Barron, 7th place, Adrian Fernandez 2 laps down, and then Zanardi still behind Fernandez.
But remember how long it's taken them to catch up with Alex Barron. The reigning Toyota Atlantic champion really has done a very, very nice job for Dan Gurney's team this weekend. He has had very few laps on this racetrack all weekend, and it's taken them, what, 10 or 12 laps even to get within almost striking distance, and they're really not there yet. So a great job, I would say, by Alex Barron.
Zanardi then looking to try and find that little chink in the armour of Adrian Fernandez. Apparently he's complaining considerably over the radio that Fernandez has not moved over because he's a lap down. But Fernandez driving his, or 2 laps down indeed. Fernandez driving his own race. He doesn't want to lose the time in letting Alex pass, but well, it's one of those things in American racing, of course, when you are a lap or 2 down, you still tend to charge, you still tend to push hard. It's still up to the overtaking driver to find a way past. And Fernandez, unless he gets more official sanction from CART, will carry on doing what he's doing at the moment. Alonso Jr., some 16 seconds behind race leader Helio Castroneves. Dario Franchitti goes through. And last lap from Helio was a slightly slower lap, a 7.9. Alonso Jr. did a 1 minute 8.2. Same sort of time for both Franchitti and Kanaan. Unser there, just sliding the car a little bit on the exit of turn number 3.
There's that battle for 2nd place, of course, and Mark Blundell is beginning to close up on this trio. I think Unser certainly is, as you suggested, Benny, he is holding up those 2 cars behind him. That is allowing Mark Blundell to close in again. Mark, of course, he lost that position to Tony Kanaan when he slipped wide in turn 8, which is the next corner they're coming up to now. There is Alonso Jr., good view of him. Turns into turn 8, the right-hander. And ahead of him is, right behind him I should say, is Dario Franchitti, then Tony Kanaan, and there is Mark Blundell, the Motorola car, who is closing up inch by inch on that threesome. And right behind him, of course, or close behind him, there is Paul Tracy as well.
Yeah, so we could get quite a long train of cars battling for this second position in a moment if they carry on closing up together like this. Still waiting for Castroneves to come in. I can tell you that the pit crew is ready now. Looks as though he'll be coming in either this or the next lap. And Helio Castroneves, who's driven an absolutely superb stint. Last couple of laps have been a bit slower. I don't know if he's got himself caught up in a bit of traffic. But,
well, he passed Dennis Vitolo on the previous lap, but that time around he had clear road, so I'm not quite sure why it was such a close lap. The gap maintained itself at 16.7 seconds. That's not enough to come in, make a pit and resume in the lead, but I would say we should come out in the top 6 or 7 or 8.
That's right, but bear in mind these cars are all very close together. The next 5 cars very close. Helio's going very slowly, Jeremy. He's going very slowly indeed. Have they gone too far on fuel?
Yes, undoubtedly they've run out of fuel, and that's an appalling error, really. Tom Brown is the crew chief on that car. He will have the information from the Mercedes engineers, and 41 laps he's done. I don't know whether they had been signalling him to come in, but he's a long way from the pit lane, and that car has run out of fuel, and that will be the end of the day for Helio Castroneves. And that is a great shame. This youngster had driven a brilliant race. Why they pushed the end, but there is his pit crew waiting for him to come around, and he ain't going to make it, folks.
He is not indeed, and well, as you say, why did they have to take the gamble? It's not as if it was the closing stages of the race. He'd driven superbly, he'd opened up a huge gap over these guys, and now race leader here is Al Unser Jr. Franchitti continues the pressure that he's been applying for a number of laps. It really is proving to be difficult to find a chink in Al's armour. 4 times the winner here, little Al, 1990, 1993 through to 1995 when his last victory came. And in fact, that's Al's last win, was that 1995 victory here in Vancouver. It's been a 3-year drought since then. Helio Castroneves is out of the race. He's out of fuel. The battle for the lead now between Unser, Franchitti, Kanaan, Blundell and Tracy.
Hi, everybody out there. I've just got to have a short break. I feel this irresistible urge for... Do you want to hear it again? If you want to taste it, crack it. Eurosport.
Just walking in the rain, getting soaking wet, torture in my heart, by trying to forget.
Wer mal nicht zu uns kommen will, kommt per Telefon oder PC mit Sparkasse direkt.
Wenn's Geld geht, Sparkasse.
What will happen on the 1st of January 1999? On the 1st of January 1999, the euro will be a currency in its own right.
Back to Vancouver, where the full course yellow has indeed come out because of Helio Castroneves' car, which was pulled off at the side of the road when he ran out of fuel. Looking at a patch of tarmac down there at turn number 8, which looks as though it may be just beginning to deteriorate a little bit. Let's go and talk to Tony Bettenhausen, team boss for Helio Castroneves.
You're wrong. Well, seems pretty obvious to us, the metering, you know, the fuel counter and the metering system perhaps is off a little bit. I guess maybe we should have been a little bit more conservative, but we lost an ECM on the parade lap, and, you know, instead of starting 9th, we had to go all the way to the back of the pack, and we were just trying to make up time, get some of the track position back, and obviously went a half lap too far.
Tough break for Bettenhausen and company.
Yeah, really tough break after Helio drove so superbly up front. He's shown that he can lead races and lead them and control them, but today is not his day. So Castroneves is out. Meanwhile, let me tell you that a couple of drivers took advantage to come into the pits. Zanardi came in and managed to get ahead of Fernandez, who also came in at the same time. just had a slightly faster pit stop. Zanardi in 14th. Now we've seen Bobby Rahal go out of this race already with an expired engine. Let's catch up with Bobby to find out what happened.
I'm sorry that we couldn't get to the end. I think we had a very good car. We had a great pit stop to get ahead of Pruitt. And, you know, we've had great reliability all year, so it's just a shame.
All right, we'll see you in Laguna next week.
Thank you.
So Bobby disappointed to be out of the race, of course, but the race continues for Alonso Jr., who's still leading at this point.
Yes, he is, and he's been out in front of the field a couple of times earlier this year, just for a few laps here and there. Certainly led very convincingly, actually, really, at Michigan Speedway. It was looking very good indeed there until the engine broke. But let's go down to the pits again, and we'll hear what Helio Castroneves has to say.
It must be bitter, bitter disappointment to be up there in that spot and then just take it, what, a half lap too long? You run out of fuel?
Yes, unfortunately, in the start, our ECU, the electronic box, we had a problem. That's why I have to stop in the pit. And unfortunately mixed all our fuel. So we're expecting to have one fuel, and all of a sudden, just by a half lap, we didn't have much fuel to finish. But let's go to the next one. At least we show that we can run on the lead.
The thing I love about this kid is he's always got a smile no matter what happens.
That's absolutely right, Gary Gerald. Helio Castroneves always seems to have a smile. Here we go, going green flag again, and away they go. Lap number 47 they go on to, and lap 46 in fact they go on to. The graphic is quite right, I'm wrong. And it's Unser who leads, Franchitti second, Kanaan in third, Blundell in fourth, then Paul Tracy, and Brian Herter in sixth place, Greg Moore seventh, then Richie Hearn, Gilles de Ferran, Christian Fittipaldi, and Maurizio Gutermin.
Just let me comment again on Helio Castroneves. Very mature young man. He took that disappointment in his stride. A great shame there. And he talked about that ECM change on the grid, and that would have they would have reset the program, but of course maybe they forgot the fact they've already done a parade lap or two, and there's probably a gallon of the fuel that they needed to get him back to the start finish line. So a miscalculation by the crew. You know, he was pulling away at the front of the field, and they just tried to stretch they wanted to pull out as much as they could before they made that pit stop, and just got a little bit greedy. And a great shame, but a great effort by that team to get the car back in the race first of all, and then by Helio to run as well as he did at the front of the field. He deserves in this series, no question about that.
Yeah, too right. He does a great job for the team, and he's certainly going to get some great results in the future. You're watching at the moment Greg Moore in the middle of that little pack there. He's in 7th position behind Brian Herter, who lies in 6th. Richie Hearn right behind, and with Alonso Jr. leading a suitable time. Look at this, Greg Moore's down the inside of Brian Herter. Clean pass there. That was very neat and tidy indeed, Mr. Moore. He made it look very easy, didn't he? Looks as though anybody could overtake down there.
Super pass. He's been thinking about it for a while. That time Brian Herter left the door open a little bit, and down the inside went Greg Moore. Beautifully executed pass. It has to be good, it has to be clean, it has to be incisive at that point on a racetrack, and that's exactly what Greg Moore was able to produce. So home fans, the hometown fans will have loved that one. A big crowd there in turn one cheering him on his way.
Yes, Greg lives just up the road in Maple Ridge. In fact, Dario Franchitti lies in 2nd place at the moment. You're looking there at Paul Tracy, but Franchitti came over to Vancouver a little earlier this week and spent some time with Greg and his family. They are very good friends indeed, and Franchitti thoroughly enjoying his time at Maple Ridge. And in fact, even borrowing Greg Moore's Hummer, big off-road vehicle, and went around the track on Tuesday to learn the track in the thing.
Yeah, so it felt very smooth indeed on the... I think it would be that Hummer. It's very softly sprung indeed. But he's a little bit of town advantage today, gets a few laps on track. Bit squirrely there coming out of that tight corner. And here we are through turn 14 onto the start-finish line. There is Dario Franchitti.
So, Franchitti second, remember to answer. There's Tracy in 5th place. Now, apparently, Paul Tracy's reporting a problem with his steering wheel. Would you believe it? There's a spoke on the steering wheel which is broken. That sounds a bit worrying. There's enough force generated by these machines to require a lot of arm effort on the steering wheel. And I think that would be fairly scary if the steering wheel is damaged. But Paul doesn't seem to be too affected. He's still in 5th place. There is race leader Penske, looking for win number 100. They've had such a long, dry spell of victories. As I mentioned, Alonso Jr.'s last win was here in 1995. Now, although Paul Tracy won some races for the team last year, it really has been a very, very quiet time for them. And it really would be quite something if Al could pull one out of the bag today. But don't forget, he is on a different stop strategy. and he may have to make 2 more stops.
Yeah, I would think so. Any time now he's got to be making a pit stop. He came in first of all on lap 11, and I would think just a lap or 2 more before he comes in. I would say maybe 2 or 3 at the very, very most, I think, for Al Unser Jr. He's certainly making the most of them. He's pulling away from Dario Franchitti and driving very nicely indeed, but of course he is going to fall to the tail end of the pack pretty much by making that pit stop under green.
So Al Unser Jr. really needs a few yellow flag periods to come out here if he's to maintain a chance of finishing on the podium. If it goes green all the way to the end, I don't think there's a great deal of opportunity for him. They would have to make an extra splash and dash stop. Look at the amount of rubber at the side of the road. It's a picture we always get on these street tracks. The little soft bits of rubber that get thrown off the tyre. And of course, if the car gets onto that, there's very little grip. And the drivers will be very cautious when they're overtaking not to get onto those slippery sections of track. Herta maintains his pace in 7th place, chased by Richie Herd now in 8th place. 9th behind them is Gilles de Ferran, and in 10th place, Christian Fittipaldi. The other Penske, by the way, of Andre Ribeiro, that lies in 11th.
And he is actually on the same strategy as everybody else. He just passed Mauricio Gugelmin last lap around, so actually Ribeiro is doing a pretty nice job. He's moved up, he was 19th on the grid, is now up into 11th.
Al Unser Jr. crosses the line to complete 49 laps. There are 41 laps remaining. Franchitti only 1 second behind him, as he has been for a good part of this race. Kanaan in 3rd place. Blundell still in 4th, and Richie Hearn had a little look at getting down the inside of the black and white car of Brian Herta. Richie Hearn in the Budweiser machine. Looks as though he's staying there next year with Budweiser support, with the Della Penna Motorsports team. Was mentioned in connection with Bobby Rahal's team, but that's not going to happen now. And Richie Hearn content to stay with the team and the team owner, who really gave him his great opportunity to move up to the top rank of motorsport in America.
Yeah, won, of course, the Toyota Atlantic Championship with John Della Penna's team, and graduated into this series a couple of years ago. Just at the 3 races in 95, 96, I guess it would have been, and then 2 full seasons since then, and has improved all the time. It's not the most well-funded on the circuit by a very, very long way, but they have a lot of heart, a lot of soul, and a lot of talent in that operation as well.
Enjoying the onboard view for a moment there from Gilles de Ferran's car. And de Ferran lying in 9th place currently, staying out of trouble. Exactly what he needs to do after starting quite a long way down the field. Look at this, Hearn again has a little think. Oh, careful, boys, careful. Oh, no! They've hit each other. Herta's got out. This is going to bring out a full course yellow. It's what Al Unser Jr. needs, because Junior is due to stop any moment. And oh, that was just such a silly accident down into turn number 1 between those two. Richie Hearn was sort of almost there, and then Brian Herta was decided that he wasn't going to let him through, and really just from both of them it was a mess, and it's ended up with Herta in the tyres on the outside.
Yeah, he has at least kept the engine running, and the full course caution is out. Here is the move there. There is Richie Hearn on the inside, and he certainly hasn't made that pass. No, sorry. He looked at it and he lunged himself, he committed himself, and Herta really, I don't think, had to give way in that sort of situation. It's just one of those things. I guess there's that cone being flicked out as well, and bit of an optimistic move, I think, by Richie Hearn. I think he got carried away. He saw Greg Moore do the move a couple of laps earlier. Greg Moore showed how the move should have been done.
Yes,
and
that's
Herta,
right.
I think you've got to say that's Herta's line, I think, in that stage, and a bit unfortunate for him there. Meanwhile, the leader's coming into the pits right in front of us.
That's right, yes, and this is going to be an absolutely critical pit stop now. Al Unser Jr. is in, but so are all the other leaders, so this basically puts them back onto the same strategy, and Al Unser Jr. has the chance to be out in front again. But Dario Franchitti is out ahead. I can see Franchitti's ahead of Unser Jr. as they go past our position there. You can see it too, and Franchitti's got ahead of Kanaan, so Unser comes out in 3rd. Now there's a surprise. Penske not as fast as either Team Green or Tasman.
No, they're not.
More fuel to put in.
Well, yes, exactly, that's very true. Within the race leaders last made a stop on lap 21. They've done 30 laps, and Unser had another 10 laps on his tank of fuel. So that's why it'd be another 8 or 9 gallons to put in that car. Now, I wonder whether this is a bit early to make the pit stop. They've still got 39 laps to go, and they're going to struggle to get to the end without having to make another pit stop.
So this is it's all happening as ever in the world of champ car racing. So unpredictable. Roger Penske looking concerned, but must be fairly happy at this stage.
irresistible urge for. Do you want to hear it again?
If you want to taste it, crack it. Ritter Sport.
On Monday night, Eurosport becomes a youth-only zone. Yosmag is all about extreme sports. A helmet is mandatory. As well as action, there are interviews, portraits, and startling reports. We're going off the beaten track, so check it out.
Yosmag, Monday, 2000 CET, 7 UK, on Eurosport. With Fisherman's Friend.
Swatch.
And Thompson.
You rejoin us as the race restarts. The green flag has just this moment waved, and Alex Barron is race leader from Michael Andretti. Two American chassis leading this race at the moment. Scott Pruitt is in third, then Dario Franchitti in fourth.
And I'm trying to remember the last time an Eagle chassis would have led a champ car race. It was probably 1981 when Mike Mosley won in the Chevrolet-powered, normally aspirated car at Milwaukee. 1981, that's an awful long time. They might have led the odd lap here and there, maybe under yellows and things during pit stop territory, but that was certainly the last race win, I think, for an Eagle chassis. And a great day for Dan Gurney. He's invested an awful lot of time and effort into this car. And look, Michael Andretti is struggling to keep up with them.
Yeah, Alex is sliding it around a bit, though, isn't he? Watch the back. Oh, look at that sideways again as he went through turn number 10 there. Fantastic. Oh, and we've got more contact. Two cars are involved. I can't see who they are yet, but a couple of cars. Players' car, it's got to be Greg Moore. He's the only players' car. And Zanardi apparently might be the other car involved in that. We've yet to see. Christian Fittipaldi's in trouble as well. That's down at the same area, and we've got cars all over the place. Yellow flags flying once again, and it's all gone wrong down there at turn number 8 on the restart. So a full course yellow comes out once again, and this of course will help everybody get to the end of this race on the amount of fuel in the cars. There's Christian Fittipaldi, and he's had another bad luck weekend. He's well down the order, hoping for a push start. Doesn't look as though there's much, if any, damage to the car. So if he gets a push start, perhaps he can rejoin. Let's take a look at what happened here. On board with Alex Zanardi. He's a long way back from car. There's an incident in front of him. There's an incident up there. Two cars have touched already. Alex comes through. Oh, Greg Moore goes straight over the top of one of those cars involved in the accident. Alex tries to get out of the way, gets down the inside and tries to find a slot through. Did he get through safely? He's desperately trying to avoid the car of PJ Jones, that is, that they've just gone past. And I think Zanardi made it through. So that's good luck to him. De Ferran was also behind the accident. He was behind Zanardi. Did he get through? You see a picture again of Moore flying in the air as he lands again. Now, Zanardi cuts past, both of them trying to find a clear space. And I think both of them managed to get through the middle there. So good draw. Oh, Alex, yes. I wondered if De Ferran maybe hit. I wonder who got together ahead there, do you think?
Mark Blundell must have been one of them. He didn't come around.
Here you go, look, here you go.
Yeah, there is Tracy diving down the inside of, well, Mark Blundell went straight on. No, he didn't go straight on. He almost went straight. He braked too late.
Moore was completely separate there, wasn't he? Because PJ was a bit slow because of the overtaking attempts of Tracy. So he was going slower than he imagined, but Moore did come flying into that corner very quickly.
Yeah, very odd. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do there. He must have seen what was going on ahead of him, and there is Greg Moore once again. 3 races he's had in his hometown, has yet to see the checkered flag.
Such a disappointment. The Canadian fans really behind Greg Moore. Here we are, real speed replay. This is what happened. Well, Greg, I think, was caught out. I think he thought that PJ was out wide and really wasn't going to play a part in this, and then PJ was suddenly in the corner.
So we're going down on board Christian Fittipaldi. He looks to the inside there of Gilles de Ferran, and there's the action. Come ahead, and I think he must have got hit from behind. Now, who was behind him? Car number 10 behind him. That was Richie Hearn as they went on to that lap. So certainly Richie lost quite a bit of ground in that incident. I think he must have gone straight down the escape road as well, because he came around quite a long way behind Alex Zanardi, who had been obviously delayed quite substantially by that incident.
Yes, that's right. So, well, another spectacular accident. Several things going on. Tracy was overtaking Jones. There was a bit of a lock-up. Jones got slowed down. Blundell seemed to go off on his own at the outside. And then Greg Moore suddenly arrived to find Jones going much slower than expected and ran over the back of him. Greg Moore's out of the race. Alex Barron is still our race leader here in Vancouver. Well, the action continues here as really we take a moment to draw breath. And let's take another look at this. Now, watch PJ. He get a little bit of a nudge. He's very slow here, Jeremy, isn't he? But he makes the corner all right. I think Greg just didn't realise what was going on. He just overcommitted, and PJ was where he wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lost for words, frankly. I mean, he must have seen PJ. PJ didn't sort of slow abruptly or anything like that. I mean, he was slowing down because there was an incident, you know, he was being passed by Paul Tracy. So how Greg Moore was going to take advantage of that situation, I'm not really quite sure. Maybe he was watching, maybe he was looking left and watching Mark Blundell skate on down to the escape road there and didn't bother to look in front of him. I don't know, very strange.
Bizarre incident indeed. The other cars did pretty well, didn't they, to avoid that? There was wheels bouncing around and all sorts, and I don't think that any of the other cars, apart from Christian, who got hit separately, I think everyone else made it through there safely. Fernandez is coming back into the pits and rejoins, but remember, he's 2 laps down in this race already, so he's not featuring up amongst the front runners. Mark Blundell has made a stop. He's a lap down now as well. Of course, he ran wide, but in a separate thing. That seemed to be very much his own thing. He didn't involve anybody else in that. He just outbraked himself into turn number 8 for the second time in this race. That car doesn't seem to want to slow down properly at the end of the long straight. And they got the sweepers out now. This is because of the amount of rubber that's been thrown off the cars. Again, you've got quite a good view there on the right of all the tiny pieces of rubber that they're trying to sweep up.
Yeah, the marbles there on the edge of the racetrack, and certainly it's going to take them a little while to get those cars of Greg Moore and who else was involved? Oh, PJ Jones's car, get those out of the way. So while they're doing that down there, they might as well send the sweeper out and clear up some of that debris. But they're a good look at the Eagle Toyota of Alex Barron.
So Barron leads it with Michael Andretti. Pace car will be out for a few laps. Alex Barron is our race leader here as the pace car continues to lead them round. Michael Andretti, Scott Pruitt, Dario Franchitti. The incident involving PJ Jones and Greg Moore is what caused this yellow flag period. Let's go and hear what PJ Jones has to say about it.
Well, you talk about going out from All-American racers and Dan Gurney's team with a flare. That's not the kind of flare anybody wants to send up. That is a wild moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing to leave the team, you know, on a note like this. I mean, we were running pretty good early, and just I had a mistake, got sideways, that cost us 2 laps. And then there I was just letting some guys go by, and they spun in front of me, and I was just trying to avoid them. And I think Greg couldn't see what was going on. It was just one of those deals. And you know, I've been with Dan for 7 years. This is my last race with him, and like I said, I wish I could have brought him a better finish.
Will we see you with Patrick Racing next year?
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
I don't want to die. Not today.
Well, Gary Gerald interviewing PJ Jones there and asking him the big question, but nothing official has been announced yet, but that's certainly the word that PJ Jones will indeed be going to Patrick Racing. So end of his association, as he said, with All-American Races. It's an association that's lasted through sports car racing and then into the Champ Car Series. A long association. There's obviously been a good rapport there between PJ and Dan Gurney.
That's right, and a second generation driver. Of course, PJ Jones, his father Parnelli won the Indianapolis 500 and just about everything else there is to win in this sport, in this country at least. And a very accomplished driver, and PJ following along nicely in his footsteps. He's cut his career, really cut his teeth in midgets and sprint cars, and then pretty much graduated pretty much straight from there into Indy Lights, and did a pretty good job there. He drove for Brian Stewart Racing, won a few races, and then moved across into Dan Gurney's team. We got an opportunity there to join the sports car ranks, and a lot of success. He and his teammate Juan Fangio II. They won, I think it was 17 races in a row in 92 and 93, picked up a couple of championships, and then took that association on into the Champ Cars, and they've been making steady progress.
Well, all this incident with Greg Moore out, Jimmy Vasser out earlier in the race, and Fernandez 2 laps down. It looks pretty good for Alex Zanardi. He lies in 8th place at the moment.
Hi, everybody out there. I've just got to have a short break. I feel this irresistible urge for... Do you want to hear it again? If you want to taste it, crack it. Ritter Sport.
59 laps completed here, and still some 31 laps to go. They've been racing for an hour and 25 minutes nearly, so they're going to be getting fairly close to that 2-hour mark. They have to run a maximum 2 hours. If they're going to go over that, the checker flag comes out at the 2-hour mark. It's going to be fairly close today if they carry on having yellow flags. Quick recap, the leader at the moment is Alex Barron. We've had 4 leaders, 3 changes of the lead, 5 caution periods for 21 laps and 9 cars already out of this race. There you are looking at the list of retirements. Greg Moore, PJ Jones, Brian Herter, Robbie Gordon, Helio Castro-Neves, Bobby Rahal, Jimmy Vasser and Patrick Carpentier, and Arndt Meyer, who went out fairly early on after making contact with the wall. That was a sad situation because Meyer had qualified in 20th place, not a bad effort at all. And indeed the Lola chassis has been proving itself again in recent testing to be a car very much on a par with the other quick cars out there.
It's true, Ben. Last week at Laguna Seca, they had a very strong run indeed, and he can't wait to get down to Laguna Seca next weekend.
Now, here we are in the Pacific Northwest in Vancouver, and of course there are various modes of transport up here, but one of the most popular modes of transport is the seaplane, and the seaplanes actually run in and out of the harbour just up here. It's actually very close to where we're staying this weekend. Andre Ribeiro had the chance to take the controls of one just the other day.
What else can we ask for life? Water, blue skies, and flying on a beautiful scenario. This is great. Now we are ready for a perfect weekend.
Andre Ribeiro enjoying his time flying the seaplane. He flies helicopters a bit down in Brazil, etc., but I think he quite enjoyed himself. Look at the lovely view of Vancouver he had. Yeah,
they actually asked me to go up with him, actually, and it was very kind of him to do so. And unfortunately, I was playing golf that morning. Actually, I finished second in the championship. That was actually, there's a scramble there. Our team finished second behind Bobby Rahal, in fact. But well, that's fair enough. I wish I could say it was my golf that enabled us to finish second, but it really wasn't.
Now then, we've got a chance to hear from Brian Herter. Remember, he's gone out in an incident with Richie Hearn a few laps ago.
And of course, we saw Brian in the tires in turn number 1. What happened?
Richie Hearn just ran into the back of me. You know, he had a run on me and tried to make a pass, but you know, it wasn't going to happen. And he got into the back of my car and spun me around in the tires.
Now I know you were back here in time to see the replay of this latest incident. Who do you think was at fault there?
Well, you know, obviously, I think it was really a track situation. It looked like Blundell spun there, and PJ got on the brakes, and everybody started stacking up there. And that's a blind corner. It's a real slippery entry. Looked like Greg just got caught in there with too much speed, had nowhere to go, ran over the back of PJ, and then everybody else just started trying to avoid everything.
Well, we hope you have better luck at Laguna.
The restart, and Dario Franchitti snatched a place from Scott Pruitt. A great restart from Franchitti. That was a brave piece of overtaking on cold tyres. He ran a bit wide through turn 1, but he's got away with it. And Franchitti goes up to 3rd position. But the 2 ahead of him, Barron and Andretti, are not in particularly good shape in terms of pit stops. It looks as though they're going to have to make 2. Barron was a bit wide there, but I think he's got away with it. And Tony Kanaan also trying to make up a little bit of ground. But that could have been an important pass for Franchitti.
Yes, indeed, I think, but however, Scott Pruitt said it is on the same strategy as those 2 cars earlier. There is Alex Barron, there is Michael Andretti, and Pruitt in 3rd place, or was in 3rd place. They stopped last on lap 43. I think that's asking a bit much to be able to get to the end from there. The other guy stopped on lap 51, and with all these caution flags that we've had since then, they should be okay on fuel. But I think the rest of these 3 are going to be very, very marginal indeed.
Let's go to the pits and hear from Greg Moore.
You can see one of the marks across this side of the helmet. That tells you just exactly how close the call was. We saw the spectacular pictures What did you think?
I saw a couple cars going sideways in front of me, a bunch of smoke, and went to the inside, got on the brakes a bit early. Thought I was through the corner okay, and then PJ was right where I was too. So it's one of those unavoidable racing accidents, unfortunately.
Did you think you were going to go upside down?
I honestly didn't know. I just closed my eyes and hung on, and I felt a big hit, and I thought I might have been upside down, but it was just a tire hitting my helmet. And then, once I was up against the fence, just time to get out.
What kind of a disappointment when you're here in front of these great hometown fans?
It's obviously super disappointing, but the best thing is that no matter how we do, the fans are always supporting us, and that's really nice.
Well, go chase a championship next year.
You bet.
Oh, that was a big screech, and he's gone off. Alex Barron's lost it into the tyres. I thought I heard a big screech, and Andretti takes over the lead of this race now. Are they going to have to bring out the full course caution? Tracy, meanwhile, squeezing or trying to squeeze past Tony Kanaan, but it doesn't quite happen. And oh, what a shame, because Alex has been doing a good job up front, but he just overcooked it there.
Yellow flags out again, and boy, this is certainly a bit of a scrap, isn't it? What a shame. As you say, he had been doing a super job under pressure, of course, from none other than Michael Andretti. He's a pretty tough adversary on this kind of a racetrack. But here are the yellow flags. Jim Swintel in action again, and there is the Toyota with a pretty tweaked rear wing there, and that's a shame for Alex Barron.
Well, I think that they should be able to get that push started and going. I don't think he's done too much damage. It was a fairly even hit. Let's take a look for what happened on the onboard. He locks up, still tries to make the corner, which was a bit of a mistake, and then just lost it and went through into the tyres. Now, inexperience there. Really, he should have just gone down the escape road. He got away with it. But, of course, it would take time to be pushed back. But it was this point, he was overcommitted. He still tried to make the corner, and there was just no way he was going to do it. And he was just slid sideways into the tyres.
Yeah, silly mistake there. As you say, a rookie error. And he's only got, amazingly, Alex Barron only has 2 years of racing experience out of karts, a long history in go-karts. But that really doesn't prepare you for championship cars. There's a heck of a difference. He did 1 year in Formula Ford 2000, 1 year in Toyota Atlantic. He did win the championship. He was with the best team, Lynx Racing. They did a fabulous job for him. He drove very, very well indeed. And he reckoned he was experienced enough to move up into the champ cars. I rather doubt the wisdom of that. But nevertheless, you don't take it away from him. He was doing a super job this afternoon. At this sort of level, you shouldn't be making mistakes like that. He clearly braked too late in the corner. Big day for him, of course. A lot on the line here with Dan Gurney's team taking a plunge to build their own car. It's a very, very nice car indeed. It's beautiful, some lovely little aerodynamic tweaks on that car. It's quite different to anything else out there. And he will have been proud, of course, that the car was in the lead of the race, but he really would have to got to the finish as well.
So a lot of action there for Alex Barron. In fact, he's had a good record this year. I've been quite impressed with him in terms of finishing races. He's finished a great many races. Has gone out a few. He had a gearbox problem in Japan. Actually, we've just got a chance to listen to Michael here. Wonder if a little bit more radio communication.
What's bad? What'd you pick up? Tires.
Talking about a pickup problem on the tyres.
Yeah,
there.
pickup on the tyres. Just the marbles that we talked about earlier on with hot tyres and getting offline. You tend to pick up those marbles. The hot rubber on the race tyres tends to pick up that loose rubber, and it takes a bit of weaving around to get rid of that pickup, as they call it. And as that rubber rolls then off the tyre, it really makes the car slide an awful lot, and pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, so Franchitti follows Michael around. Now, we know that situation for Alex Zanardi is that he needs a 6th place to confirm the championship. I can tell you he's now up to 7th position, so there's a good opportunity here for Alex to wrap it up. Last time out, the drivers were on a slightly different track, the 4-mile course at Road America. Let's just remind you what happened last time out at Elkhart Lake. Well, it was another fantastic day for going racing, and from the start of the race, Michael Andretti had pole position and took the early lead, but as ever there were incidents, and Alex Zanardi particularly hitting the back of Alonso Jr., which put the Penske out of the race entirely. But then there was this very scary looking accident involving Brian Herter and the man we've just been talking about, Alex Barron.
Yeah, Herter spun off there. He'd left his brake a little bit too late, and I think Alex Barron left his brake a little bit too late as well, didn't he? He was trying to pass his own teammate and ended up on top of the car, Brian Herter. Scary moment there, but both drivers unhurt.
Michael Andretti continued to lead, but then a great pit stop from Team Green managed to get Dario out in front. Greg Moore by this time had gone out. He looked like a potential winner, and Michael Andretti had a tyre failure on the last lap.
The very last lap, running in 2nd place ahead of Alex Zanardi, and bang, a heavy impact there for Michael Andretti. But Dario Franchitti, a great drive, his first win, and boy was he a happy camper.
Yeah, a superb drive from him. Win number 1 in the books, and you have to say he's well up there for a second win here today. But with all these yellow laps that we have had, you said that you thought that those later stoppers would be fine to the end. Do you think we're now getting enough yellows that even Michael might be able to make it to the end?
Not beyond the realms of possibility, and particularly if this race doesn't go the full 90 laps. If we run out to the 2-hour distance, then you know, that could make all the difference in this race.
The green flag flies. We'll restart lap number 66. Tony Kanaan and Paul Tracy are battling. Tracy's trying to go around the outside of Kanaan. That's pretty brave. Good stuff from both of them. Kanaan gave Tracy only just enough room, but it was enough room to make it round the corner. And that was nice to see that you can try to overtake, not quite make it, and still both get round the bend. Andretti leads, Franchitti second, Pruitt third, then Kanaan, Tracy and Unser with the battles behind involving Alex Zanardi. He is in 7th position. Al Unser Jr. is the one that he needs to get past to move into that all-important 6th that could wrap up the title for him here today. Now then, I wonder how these two are going to get on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dario Franchitti, he'll be wondering now whether Michael Andretti has to make another pit stop. If he does, of course, Dario Franchitti is looking good, and that would be rather good news, wouldn't it? He started from the pole, and the Marlboro Pole Award bonus, $330,000 bonus. It's a $15,000 bonus if you win from the pole. That hasn't been done now for, what is it, 24 races, I guess. And that's an awful long time, 22 races. But every time it's not won, then that $15,000 rolls over to the next race. That's why we've got all the way up to $330,000. And look at Tracy there with a run on Tony Kanaan.
Yeah, absolutely. So close behind him. Has a look all over the back of Kanaan's car, trying to find a way through, but he still can't quite manage it. There is Scott Pruitt in the Vistion car at the head of this little group. Now Tracy has a little think into turn 4, almost touching the gearbox of Kanaan's car. Great stuff from these two as they continue round. Meanwhile, let me tell you that on that last lap, Richie Hearn passed Alex Zanardi. Zanardi finds himself back to 8th place. There's a surprise. Hearn has got a position from the reigning champion. But let's concentrate on this battle, because Paul Tracy still trying to find a way past Tony Kanaan.
And Tony Kanaan there struggling to get up to speed after that yellow. Certainly Pruitt was a little bit cautious the first lap or two. Now Pruitt is into his stride, and Tony Kanaan has a little bit of breathing room in front of him, so he doesn't have to worry too much about Tracy trying to make a move on him. But a great battle here, and this 4th, 3rd place. And just behind there is Dario Franchitti, of course, in 2nd place, and behind Michael Andretti. Here comes Michael Andretti through turn 13 there, and into turn 14. This quick corner in front of the pits are coming through the exiting there, around about 150 miles an hour.
67 laps completed, and still 23 laps to go. There is the battle for 3rd place. Pruitt, followed by Kanaan and Tracy. Then let me tell you that Al Unser Jr. is in 6th, ahead of Richie Hearn and Alex Zanardi.
Yeah, and Richie Hearn had a look to pass Al Unser Jr. on the inside into turn 1.
Oh, Tracy's hit Kanaan. Tracy has hit him into turn number 4. He just bashed him into the rear. Kanaan did seem to be struggling for grip and for speed, and Tracy got on the power a bit earlier than Kanaan and just hit the back of Tony's car and punted him out. That's going to be another full course yellow. There's no way they're going to be able to recover that car without getting the safety cars out on track. And you can see the mark on the front of Paul Tracy's car. Look at that little hole in the nose cone.
Yeah, I was looking the other way. I was looking down to turn 1 to see where there is Tony Kanaan's car stuck by the end of the racetrack, and minus one of its wheels, and so I'll have to wait and see the replay on that one, Ben. I was looking the wrong way.
Yeah, I want to see the replay too, because it was a strange accident, and it seemed to be more on the exit of the corner rather than, well, certainly from apex to exit. It just looked like Tracy got on it earlier than Kanaan, but instead of allowing for the car in front of him, he just pushed him off. But we'll have to take a look. See what you think of this one. Tracy on the outside.
Yes, and protecting his line there was Tony Kanaan, and well, I can't imagine what Paul Tracy was trying to do there. That was an absolutely ridiculous move. I don't see that one at all. It's just after the apex of the corner. You're trying to get back on the power, but there was a car in front of Tony Kanaan, so he couldn't really go anywhere. And I think Paul Tracy there just got a little bit carried away. And he, of course, is still under probation, I think, isn't he?
Or is he? I wondered if maybe he'd been taken off.
No, you're right. After the race at Road America, it was announced that morning, actually, Wally Dunnaby had lifted that probation. But what a shame for Tony Kanaan. He waved his fist there or pointed a finger at Paul Tracy, and quite rightly, I would say.
Yeah.
He'd driven a brilliant race. The team had done a superb job in the pit stops. This young rookie driver, he has a heck of a future ahead of him. He really is a star. and that's a great shame for his race to finish like that.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Paul Tracy out of order in hitting Kanan's car. When you're in traffic like that, you just have to allow for the car in front. You can't just punt him off, and Kanan can be justifiably very angry indeed about his treatment there from Paul Tracy.
Krombacher, ein Pilz, kostbar wie seine Natur. Frisch und rein, wie das Felsquellwasser, mit dem es gebraut wird. Krombacher, eine Perle der Natur.
Just walking in the rain, getting soaking wet, torture in my heart, by trying to forget.
Wer mal nicht zu uns kommen will, kommt per Telefon oder PC mit Sparkasse direkt.
Wenn's Geld geht, Sparkasse.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire.
Around 25 years ago, certain rock giants emerged. Artists like Cream, Deep Purple, Jethro Tull and Black Sabbath. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Status Quo, Thin Lizzy and the Moody Blues.
In the white room.
They played at festivals which were vast, and they produced tracks on classic albums the sheer scale of which had never been heard before or since. Now, the best 60 original tracks from this era are available on 4 CDs or 4 cassettes called Rock Festival. That's over 4 hours worth. But you can't buy it in the shops. You have to order by phone. If money were no object, there's only one way to recreate the immense sound of these tracks. The other is to buy Rock Festival. To get your copy, call now. At Insight, we know great music when we hear it.
Alex Zanardi, though, as a result of that accident, is now in 6th position. That's what he needs to clinch the championship here today. He might not have had a particularly good run by his standards, but look at that. If they finish where they are now, Zanardi would be on 214 points, and that's 8 points ahead of Jimmy Vasser. And in fact, that would mean if Jimmy Vasser theoretically won all the next races and took pole and led all the most laps, then it would mean that Jimmy would have the same number of wins. It would come down to 2nd positions, and Alex would have the advantage.
Yes, he's got a couple of seconds, and Jimmy only has 1, so that would be the tie-break, 6 wins apiece, and it would down to 2nd place. But the chance of Jimmy winning the next 4 races, I think, is a fairly tall order. There's Tony walking back to the pits, though.
Yeah, so disappointment there for Tony. There's so many things that have gone on. I think it's a good chance to take a look at what's been going on in this race, Jeremy, and try and keep track of all the incidents and action and accidents that we've seen so far this afternoon. Now remember, Dario Franchitti started from pole position at the start of this one. Brian Herter was alongside, and we had a remarkably clean opening lap, in fact. The first of the incidents was when Patrick Carpentier tried to get past Jimmy Vasser in a last-minute lunge that he admitted fault for afterwards, but that put 2 of our contenders out. Then Alex Zanardi spun the car as they came around for a restart, lost it on cold tyres, and that dropped him to the back. Bobby Rahal suffered an engine failure, and sadly that would be the end of his racing in Canada.
Yeah, and then later on, Richie Hearn, they're not quite close enough, I think, to make a move on Brian Herter. Just one of those races. It's not a great deal of blame on Hearn. I think Herter could have given a little bit more room. There's an incident here. Mark Blundell skates on, and PJ Jones is slow there at the corner, and Greg Moore, unsighted, rolls right over the top there of PJ Jones's car, and Greg Moore out of the race. The local hero, once again, 3 finishes here, 3 non-finishes here. Then a little bit later on, Alex Barron leading the race, same corner, same effect. He spins off, left his braking way too late.
Yes, and didn't bail out, go down the escape road, just lost it. And then the last incident, Tracy hitting Canard, just knocking him out of the way. And, well, Tracy survived the incident, but I wonder, do you think Cart would actually decide now that that was out of order and give him some sort of a pit lane penalty, or will they wait until after the race?
I'm sure, looking across here, we can see the stewards' room. It's a couple of boxes over from us. Certainly some talking going on in there. They'll be thinking about it. Paul Tracy's been involved in a number of accidents over this year, and I think it was a very strange thing to do there. I mean, you're coming out of that corner, you're not going to overtake coming out of that corner. It's not going to happen. And he was just assuming that Tony Kanard's car wasn't there. He was getting on the power. He's obviously the car's putting the power down nicely, but he wasn't in a position to pass.
Here we go then, ready for the restart. They're coming out of turn 14 and accelerating across the line. The green flag, cold tyres, remember, this could cause problems. Tracy now has a go at getting past Pruitt, but Pruitt defends properly, rightly, holds the middle ground and doesn't even allow Tracy a little bit of space to go past. Good driving from Pruitt, and sensible driving too, as Pruitt claws all over the back of Pruitt's car. It's so close between those two. Look at Tracy, he really is so fired up to try and gain another position here, but Pruitt just sensibly holding that middle ground.
And behind those two in fifth place there is Richie Hearn there, the Budweiser car. You just got a glimpse of it, and look how close they are, as you say. Scott Pruitt there, Paul Tracy, very, very close to get it onto the back straight. Will he think of a move at the end of the straight in turn 8? No, he won't. There is Paul Tracy, and we hear that the black flag, well, actually we look out of our booth, and the black flag is being readied by Jim Swintel. Look, there is the car number 26. That is Paul Tracy. He is going to be black flagged.
No great surprise there, Jeremy, after that incident where he hit Canard, and no doubt he will be given the news over the radio, but he will pass the line this time to see the black flag. He can complain about it afterwards, but I think certainly our opinion up here in the commentary box is that he fully deserves it, and that he's going to have to suffer a penalty for what he did. There it is, being waved on that board. Let me tell you, is his race number. Here he goes, going past Scott Pruitt. He's allowed to do that. He can still race while he's out there, but he has to come in at the end of this lap to serve whatever penalty Cart say. Now, it might be a drive-through penalty, or it might be a stop-and-go penalty.
Good question. He actually was assessed a stop-and-go 10-second penalty in Cleveland when he hit Alonso Jr. in the pit lane, so there is a precedent for that. It may be a drive-through, it may be a 10-second go. We're not privy to that information just yet, but we just hear word from the pits that Tony Kanard doesn't want to talk to our pit recorders. That's how upset he is about that incident.
Yeah, and that's very unusual for Tony, because he's very aware of the importance of talking to the media. He's usually very good at it, but he's just so angry that he doesn't want to talk to anybody at the moment. So such bad news. He was on for a great result, and a podium finish certainly, which would of course be his best result.
Absolutely right, and he well-deserved, as you say, it would have been. But in the meantime, there is Paul Tracy closing up on the back of these two. There is Michael Andretti, Dario Franchitti, and all these yellows just might be playing into the hand of Michael Andretti. But Franchitti gets a good run off that corner, but he can't think about making a pass into turn 1. And if those yellows have helped Michael Andretti enough to be able to get to the end without making another pit stop, then Dario is going to have to make the pass.
Well, we're just hearing some amazing stuff on the radio. We're hearing that Paul Tracy says he's not coming in. Well, I can't really believe that, because surely, I mean, the sort of sanctions that they would apply to him if he decided not to come in would just be crazy. I mean, they could ban him from racing for the rest of the year if they wanted to. He has seen it twice now, the black flag. I would think they might allow him to see it twice, but that's about it.
Yeah, he's been past the flag just once so far, and he's going so fast on that lap, I'm not sure whether he saw it. That's a fantastic lap, 1 minute 9.7. The race leaders are doing 1 minute 11s, and look, Tracy is right onto the tail of Franchitti. Well, I hope he's not going to try and pass Dario.
I tell you what's happening here. Michael's trying to save fuel, and he's backed it right off in his attempt to save fuel, and that's why he's doing 1 minute 11. And he thinks that he can hold these guys up sufficiently that they can't overtake on this kind of track. He may well be able to do it. So Michael has backed off the fuel. He's desperately hoping to make it to the end of the race on the fuel in the car. Meanwhile, I think Tracy has come into the pits. Yes, he has. Glad to see that. Had to respond to the black flag, and he has indeed come in. Now, will it be a drive-through? No, it's going to be a 10-second stop and go.
Turn 1 there. Oh, yes, Richie Hearn. He looked to the inside of Scott Pruitt. Scott Pruitt slammed the door in his face, and Richie jinked to the outside because he was going too fast. Otherwise, he'd have hit the back of Scott Pruitt, and in doing so, Hearn lost control of the car. That's a great shame. He was miles quicker than Scott Pruitt, but he couldn't make the pass.
Well, we're waiting to see if it's a full course yellow. At the moment, they're hoping that they can get that car pulled out of the way. And look, Richie, oh, he's so disappointed with that. He's driven superbly here today. He was in a fine fourth position. Great drive from the youngster. Very impressive indeed. And unfortunately for him, it's not going to work this time. Now, the yellow's waving at the start, Gantry, but it's only the yellow because it's at the end of the straight. They're actually still under green flag conditions at the moment, so Michael still has this job of trying to save fuel. He's desperate for it to be a full course yellow, but they're not waving it.
No, they're not. And what's interesting to me, we've got 17 laps to go, but this race has been running for 1 hour and 46 minutes. So that means we've got 14 minutes of racing to go before the 2-hour time limit, and they're not going to get 16 laps in that time. I think we're going to be 2 or 3 laps short. We haven't yet heard official word. They don't give it until 10 minutes before that 2-hour limit. But I don't think this race is going the full 90 laps, and Michael Andretti is hoping that that is the case. And the slower he can go without making an opportunity for Dario Franchitti to pass, then the more it is in his favour.
Now, this is going to be fascinating to watch this one play out. Remember what happened in Detroit last year when Mark Blundell and Maurizio Gugelmin tried to get to the end on just one pit stop, and they ran out of fuel on the very last lap. That sort of thing is entirely possible on this occasion. Pruitt is trying to do the same thing. He's on the same strategy as Andretti, so he lies in third. Zanardi here, you right on board with Alex, now in fourth position. Yeah, and of course, we're just hearing on the no surprise, we're just hearing that Newman Haas have said it should be a full course yellow for Richie Hearn. It should be. And that's because they're trying to save fuel. And of course, everyone else is saying, no, it shouldn't, no, it shouldn't. And then big arguments going on in the pit lane.
Yeah, great stuff there. The car actually was on the outside of the racetrack, and they should be able to get to that fairly easily from the escape road, because as the cars are coming down here on the start-finish line, Scott Pruitt with behind him Alex Zanardi. The car is here on the behind the camera, so to speak, or underneath the camera, and it's pretty much off the racing line, and not really a great danger to the other cars. They can see it's there, and they're pulling it out of the way, and in this instance, happily, or not as the case may be, no full course caution.
Now this is an interesting situation. Alex Zanardi being held up by Scott Pruitt. Pruitt doing the same as Andretti. He's turned the boost down, he's turned the fuel mixture down, but on the straights, he's just flooring it, and of course, it's just not giving anybody the chance to overtake. So Zanardi sits behind, capable of going at least a second a lap faster, but he cannot find a way past as yet. Same situation for Franchitti up front, and you've already seen how rigorously Pruitt has defended that place. That's what happened to Richie Hearn, and that's why Richie Hearn is out.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a cat and mouse game really here, and tortoise and the hare perhaps, call it what you will, but it's certainly a fascinating contest. And here is Michael Andretti here through this flat-out turn 14 onto the start-finish straight. Dario Franchitti is close, but not close enough to think about a pass, and that is 76 laps. The books were on board with Michael Andretti, and it'd be a fairy tale win for him, that's for sure. He's been strong all weekend. The Goodyear Tires, Goodyear Tires hasn't won a race since Michael was in victory lane at Homestead in the very first race of the season. And Goodyear's certainly doing a nice job this weekend. The fifth place is Alanza Jr. And having started 22nd, that would keep that string of top 5 finishes alive, and a remarkable effort, I would say, by Alanza Jr. and Marlboro-Team Penske.
That means you have to buy me a beer, doesn't it, if he finishes in the top 5, I seem to remember?
No, the beer was if Alex Zanardi wasn't involved in another incident, and I think he was, so you owe me a beer, Ben.
Oh, right, OK.
Oh, look, Dario Franchitti makes a move there, or looks to make a move into turn 9. Yeah, just got a little bit squirrely under braking and lost a little bit of ground. No big deal, I suppose, but it was pretty interesting.
Well, we've had official word from race control. It will be a timed race. As you said, it will be the 2-hour limit that determines this race, not the 90-lap limit.
Watch this closely. Life doesn't have to be dull. The Yoz Summer X Games this week on Eurosport.
With Fisherman's Friend and Rollerblade.
On Monday night, Eurosport becomes a youth-only zone. Yoz Mag is all about extreme sports. A helmet is mandatory, As well as action, there are interviews, portraits, and startling reports. We're going off the beaten track, so check it out.
Yosmag, Monday, 2000 CET, 7 UK, on Eurosport. The Fisherman's Friend.
Swatch.
And Thompson.
On to lap number 78 now. 77 are completed. There's Mario down in the pits, keeping a close eye on this. He's watching, looking at his watch. He's checking the time. That's more important now. Let me tell you, there's 9.5 minutes to go in this race, and they've got to try and judge it so that they cross the line just after the 10 minutes are up. The 2-hour mark is up. Michael Andretti leading this race. Dario, desperate for another win. Well, not desperate, but he'd love for another win to back up his success last time out in Road America. But how does he play it? How does he find a way past one of the toughest racers in American racing? He's down the inside. Oh, Michael's turned in. They just about made it through. Great driving from both of them there. But wow, I thought Dario had made the move.
Well, there's $430,000 on the line for Dario Franchitti. Second place, that doesn't really mean anything to him at this stage. It means a lot to Michael Andretti. He wants to get another win himself, his sponsors, his team and everything else. Dario Franchitti, he's not in contention to win the championship. He wants to finish as high up as he can, of course, but $330,000 and a little bit of history. Very, very tempting indeed.
It is very, very tempting. You're absolutely right, Jeremy. What a payday it would be if Dario can win this race from pole position. And the first time that's happened in well over a year now, to earn him a fortune. And of course, it doesn't all go to him. A lot of it goes to the team. And his team personnel down there, they must be on the edge of their seats. They can see that bonus money shining in the sky, ready for them. If only Dario can find a way past Michael, because there's no way that Michael would be able to stay with him. Once Dario gets past, he's just going to disappear. But the problem is getting past, and we've got about 8 minutes of this race still to run.
Yeah, there's not very many clear overtaking opportunities on this racetrack, as we talked about at the top of the show, and Dario Franchitti hasn't found any yet, and Michael Andretti hopes there's no overtaking opportunities on this racetrack, and he's driving a very, very tidy line indeed. He's certainly not blocking Dario Franchitti. He's making sure that he gets off the corners well, and that is the crucial, to don't leave any room in order for Franchitti to get up alongside him coming out of a corner. And through this next corner here is a critical one. Turn 13, turn 14. Franchitti is very quick down here. He does come out with a good head of speed there, but Michael Andretti is 2 or 3 car lengths ahead as they go into turn 1. And there's no way you can pull off an overtaking move there. Certainly, Dario Franchitti, he'll have that car on full rich mixture, but Michael Andretti is just driving a very, very canny race indeed, and these last few laps are going to be fun. We've got just over 7 minutes to go, so 6 laps probably, I would say, for Michael Andretti to hold on ahead of Dario Franchitti.
Comes down to driver style as well, and Michael is one of the last of the late breakers. He brakes very deep into a corner. He's not one of the drivers who tends to brake light and then carry speed in. He brakes very late and still goes into the corners fast, but that makes him a hard to overtake.
Here comes Franchitti. What a fantastic move down the inside. He made a great exit to turn 8 and he got alongside. Great stuff by Dario Franchitti.
Fantastic, a perfectly executed maneuver, and Michael Andretti do nothing about it at all. And now, suddenly, $430,000 are on the line, and looking across from our commentary position, we can see the Team Green mechanics and the whole team down there, and they now, they clap him as he goes past, but now they're just hoping that Dario can maintain this place. Pole position he took yesterday, now can he convert it to race victory? He's only got some 6 minutes to go to take his second win in succession and that all-important bonus money.
Well, no question, the race is now Dario Franchitti's. He's much faster than Michael Andretti. He's pulled well away, and he has this race in the pocket. Of course, he had his race in the pocket in Toronto a couple of months ago, also in Canada, and he threw that one away. He had a braking problem in the late stages of the race, and he had a quick spin in turn 1. You can rest assured, I think, that's not going to happen again.
No, I don't think so. Zanardi, meanwhile, doesn't seem to be able to close up to Pruitt as much as we expected. He may be waiting to see if they run out of fuel, but there is a report because of a little light spray of some kind of liquid from Zanardi's car. We were just trying to spot it there, but we couldn't see anything. Now, whether that's the reason that he's backed off a little bit, could be. And don't forget that both Andretti and Pruitt, running second and third, are still very marginal on fuel. They're hoping to make it, but there's nothing definite. That's looking out the camera from the back of Zanardi's car. Certainly some spots of some fluid on there, but whether that's from his car, you can see, yes, in fact, it does look as though there's some fluid on the back of his car. By the sponsor's name, you can really see a lot of fluid around, so maybe gearbox oil leak is causing that, and that could be a concern. Franchitti up front, he's already pulled away by some 3 seconds after that superb overtaking manoeuvre.
Yeah, and now Michael Andretti has to worry about Scott Pruitt and Alex Zanardi behind them, and Michael Andretti has used his pace. He knows he can't win this race anymore. He's just hoping that Dario Franchitti makes some kind of a mistake or runs over a back marker, and there aren't many back markers around, so I don't think that's likely to happen. Pruitt there looks to the inside. Don't know whether he'd have seen what Dario Franchitti did in that turn. He was probably a little bit too far behind. And he'll be maybe I can do the same.
Well, yes, he may do. Of course, Andretti is the odd one out here. He's on the Goodyear tyre. I don't know whether I don't think that's paying much relation to this. They all seem to be running a pretty consistent pace.
I think so. I think there's not much to do between the Goodyears and the Firestones this weekend. But Dario Franchitti, he has disappeared.
Yeah, 4.2 seconds up the road now, and as we check it, it was 4 minutes to go as he crossed the line there. 4 minutes, so that's maybe 3 laps to go in this race for Dario Franchitti as he heads for his second win in the championship. If he can hold on, it all looks good for him so far. It's the money. Last time, you remember, in Toronto, he told us afterwards that he'd actually been thinking of buying a Ferrari with the money he might win from the pole bonus award. I wonder what he's thinking about now, because it's worth even more now.
I can't imagine what he's thinking. I bet he's thinking he's going to get kicked if he throws this one away by the crew. And I think that'll probably be most on his mind. Don't make a mistake for the crew's sake.
Yeah.
And you can see the lead he has. He just saw him disappearing around turn 9 as Michael Andretti goes into that turn now ahead of Scott Pruitt and Alex Zanardi. Was diced all the way down through the field. Turns down an extra gear there, Alex Zanardi, trying to get a run perhaps off that corner. And doesn't really do him any good, but some super dices farther back. There's Alanza Jr. in 5th place, just ahead of Gilles de Ferran, and behind that some super dicing going on as well.
Now, not in this excitement of Dario perhaps winning all this money, let's not forget that Alex Zanardi is all set to win the championship here now. We've got 3 minutes to go as Zanardi has a little look down the inside, but doesn't try anything too spectacular on Pruitt. And don't forget, as I say, that Zanardi all set here to win the 1998 FedEx Championship Series. If everything goes according to plan over the next few laps, he will be champion for the second year in a row, repeating the success that Bobby Rahal had in the mid-80s, taking 2 championships in 2 years. And now Chip Ganassi apparently telling Alex Zanardi, just take it easy, Alex, don't rush it. You don't need to be on the podium here. Just follow these guys around, wrap up the title.
That's right, he's not going to win the race, and second, third or fourth, it doesn't really make any difference. It has the same effect. He wins the championship, and he's thoroughly deserved it. He's had a usual eventful Alex Zanardi type season, an Alex Zanardi type race, but here he is in 4th place again. But there is Dario Franchitti, and we've talked about it before. You know, if and when he wins that first race, it sure as heck isn't going to be the last one. And here we are 3 weeks later, the very next race. He is going past the start-finish line. He does not get the white flag that time around, but I think perhaps next time around that'll be it. 1 more lap to go will be then for Dario Franchitti.
Yes, I'm sure you're right, Jeremy. So it's 2 laps to go, just under 2 laps to go now in this race in Vancouver. And what a race of incident and action we've seen. Dario Franchitti has a lead of 4.9 seconds over Michael Andretti. Still, this battle for second rages. Scott Pruitt's going well. He's had 1 or 2 good results, I have to say, in the latter part of this year. We've heard he's already made his choice for next year, driving for the Arciero Wells team. But Scott Pruitt has driven extremely well in the latter part of this season, and I think a 3rd position here really would boost his championship standings as well. Pruitt at the moment lying down in 6th place in the series on 92 points. In fact, he's only a point behind Michael Andretti in the championship, and of course those two are right there battling for second place.
And a lot of money on the line at the end of the season. The FedEx Championship Series, the PPG Cup winner gains $1 million, but there's a big prize fund also to be shared amongst the top 10 drivers, and several $100,000 at stake between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, so a lot to play for.
Franchitti goes on to his final lap then as he sees $430,000 on the line. That's $100,000 for winning the race and $330,000 for the pole bonus award scheme that pays out to the winner from pole position. It hasn't been done since Cleveland last year. The money has been building up by $15,000 each race, and then we've just heard that Gilles de Ferran's gone off, but that's not going to concern Dario Franchitti, who's into his final half lap here. Team Green are just going to go wild with this result.
The colour green, the colour of money. All Dario Franchitti can see now the front of the car. Green, he's back way off the pace. He is just cruising around. It looks like he's going so slowly there, but he has a huge 4.5 second lead, and it's 2 more corners to go now for Dario Franchitti, Ben.
Franchitti's coming up then through the tight chicane, up towards the fast left-hander. He's going to take his 2nd win in a row in the FedEx Championship Series, but he's going to win loads of money. It's loads of money, Franchitti. Cross the line, and Team Green go wild. They've just earned themselves a huge bonus as Andretti crosses the line in 2nd. Scott Pruitt is in 3rd. Alex Zanardi is our new champion. Well, new and old champion. He's defended the title. Zanardi is the 1998 FedEx champion. There he is at the back of the line. And after another amazing race, he's champion.
The 3rd consecutive championship in such a competitive series.
Gary, I'm a little speechless right now. You know, Zanardi drove a hell of a race today. It takes a driver, and he did the job. It takes a team. They did the job. I'm just glad to be a part of this group.
Hear the cash register ringing, pal.
Thanks.
All right, let's go to Jan Beekes.
And Kim Green, of course, was on the radio to Dario Franchitti. I know this is an emotional moment for you. Another win, but $330,000. That's got to make you guys feel pretty good.
I mean, that's an added bonus. First of all, we wanted to win the race. Pretty tough race. At one point, we had some smoke coming out of the dashboard, so we weren't sure about that. That went away. All I can say, a great team effort. We have the best team. A great driver, great pit stops. It feels very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. It's the same old story. Once you get the first win, the others seem to come along. But I have to say, as Kim Green said, brilliant drive from Dario Franchitti. Superb effort from the pit crew. They were under pressure there a couple of times on vital stops. There's George Franchitti, Dario's dad, on the right of the picture there. He's running down to the end of the pit lane. And I don't know how the fitness program's going at the moment for George. He's usually playing golf, actually. So, but he's full of energy, full of adrenaline after a superb victory. And their champion, Alex Zanardi, thumbs up for Alex Zanardi, the 1998 champion, with 4 races to go. That just gives you an idea of how he's dominated the championship season. The results: Franchitti from Andretti and Pruitt, Zanardi 4th, Unser Jr. did get in the top 5, Mauricio Gugelmin in 6th position. 7th place for the other Penske, Andre Ribeiro, then JJ Leto, Max Papis, good result in 9th, Jourdain, a good result, 10th, Tracy and Blundell.
Yeah, some good dicing back there, and then Gilles de Ferran went off on the last lap, I think in turn 1. He was trying to get past Unser Jr., then Christian Fittipaldi and Adrian Fernandez running at the finish, and all these guys didn't make it. Alex Barron there, he led some laps from the Eagle, did a super job for a while, but then threw it away with a spin. Helio Castroneves also had a great performance today before running out of fuel. Bobby Rahal blew up, of course, and then Jimmy Vasser, Patrick Caponche and Art Meyer, the first out of the race.
Just an amazing race here today. A really, really enjoyable event in a fantastic city here, Vancouver. And look at Dario, he can't quite believe it. But what a tremendous finish for the Scotsman in Canada, the winner of the race and of the money. And Zanardi is the champion.
What will happen on the 1st of January 2002? On the 1st of January 2002, the Euro notes and coins will be issued.
side, standing up, the first part of your body, the first muscles that fire are the muscles of the core. So you have to have a strong core. It's your foundation.
No, it's true. I mean, every time we work out and we do our Core Secrets workout, I'm using my abdominal muscles to maintain balance, just like the way that we're sitting here.
They call this active sitting because you're not just slumped in the chair resting.
Right.
You have to sit up. You have to be aware of your posture. You have to be engaged through the core.
Let's show everybody some of your techniques, because I know that I can do the same moves on the ball that I used to have to drive all the way to the gym for, and there's lots of intimidating, huge pieces of equipment that we can get the same effect and better from working on the ball.
Grab the dumbbells. Try just doing a shoulder press. Just by being on the ball, your core is engaged more than if you were sitting on a bench.
And the whole time while I'm working out my shoulders and my arms, I'm also working my abs.
When people see the workouts that we put together in the Core Secrets videos, the 1, 2, 3 core, they'll see so many moves that they didn't think were possible. We've done everything on this from basic crunches all the way to modified Olympic lifts on these. Anybody can work on this ball.
Just get on the ball and your abs start firing and your glutes start tightening and your hamstrings are feeling it, and you start targeting and shaping muscles that you forgot you even had. You can strengthen your arms, your shoulders, your chest, your back, your butt, your thighs, your legs. And with every move, you're working your abs, because that's the core secret of this program.
You get a total body workout. You're working your upper body, you're working your lower body, you're working the abs, all while your core muscles are being engaged. And with Gunnar Peterson's workout, I think that's what stands out, and that's what separates him from everyone.
You really feel like it's targeting not just your chest like you would when you're doing a bench press. I really felt like it also got to all of my abs and my back and all of these other muscles that I don't normally get.
With Core Secrets, you can work virtually all of your major muscles in a safe, easy, and natural way. And the variety. You can do perfect abs, you can use free weights, do yoga moves and Pilates. You can target train your hips, thighs, and buns. These are hard to reach problem areas for most women. And Gunnar's techniques zone in to sculpt and shape them. Nearly every move you do in the gym, you can do on the ball, with Gunnar as your personal trainer.
A strong body starts at the core, and Core Secrets starts with a 25-minute full-body workout. Using Gunnar's 1, 2, 3 core techniques, this incredible routine hits all of your major muscle groups. You build strength, burn calories, and get a lean, mean, sexy body in record time. Just 25 minutes a day, 3 times a week.
It's at home, I can pop it in my VCR, grab the ball, I can do a full body workout in 25 minutes.
The first time I saw the Core Secrets program, I was amazed because there were so many different things that I had never seen done on the ball before, and it was exciting.
Next, accelerated core training gives you special moves to sculpt your body even faster, putting you on the fast track to a flatter tummy and trimmer waistline.
Core Secrets helped me break through my plateau because it's quick, it uses many of your muscles all at once. I felt like I got results without having to spend hours doing it.
Every move worked every part. I don't want it to sound like I'm obsessed with my butt or anything, but it is a major area for most women.
It's valid. Half my clients come in, and that's one of the prime target areas. That's totally valid.
It's hard to find exercises and equipment that really target your butt muscles.
Girls need the abs, the buns, and the thighs. I don't care if you're an actress or not. We all need that.
You get the definition of your little tush going there, and it's nice when people are noticing it, especially your husband. I mean, he's like, wow, look at you. You know, it's like, yeah.
Come on now. Lift, contract the glutes at the top. When you get on the ball and you can pinpoint that area, you can actually feel it working, shaping, as some people like to call it.
Core Secrets targeted that area, and I saw results in about 5 days.
Good, now come down after the set, and here's something you can't do on a piece of equipment. Put the feet together, little frog press, squeeze, and a tiny lift. You can see that it's working.
These are serious.
So you're also working through lower back, core is all engaged. I defy you to find a piece of equipment that you could do.
You can't, there isn't one. Right. Some of the moves that I'm doing on the ball are the best fun workouts that I've ever done. And I've done the butt blaster, I've done the stairs, I've done the step classes, I've done the aerobic training. But there are some special moves that we do on the ball that Gunnar has shown me that really target that area and hit it and work it, tighten it, give it a nice little lift. And I mean, it's amazing how you can really reshape your body on the ball.
your muscles have to fire differently every single time you're on that ball. It's challenging, it's fun, and you will get the results.
And anytime you can feel like you're playing while you're working out, you're going to continue to do the workout.
It's something that I can do on my own. I can take the ball on location, and it's something that you see the results fast, and that's just really the main thing.
Would you like the ab and glute training secrets of Brooke Burke and Jennifer Lopez? The strength and conditioning moves of Matthew McConaughey, Pete Sampras, and Ben Affleck? Now you can, as you trim and tone your muscles with real results guaranteed in 30 days or less. Core Secrets taps the power of the fitness ball to strengthen your core, all while you tone and sculpt your muscles, burn calories, and lose weight. Your abs are always engaged, so you get double the results in less time. You'll get firm, flat abs and much more with the amazing Core Secret system from Gunnar Peterson, the man behind the best bodies in Hollywood, with 2 workouts on video and DVD.
I work out with Gunnar because it's a fun workout and I see results.
The 25-minute full body workout keeps your abs firing as you do 1, 2, 3 core, alternating upper body, lower body with a routine that fits perfectly into your schedule. Ideal for men and women, all shapes and sizes too. Beginners can do all the moves with modifications at just your level.
The nice thing was that you could make it as difficult or as easy as you wanted.
You'll also get accelerated core training, an intermediate advanced workout that puts you on the fast track to a flatter tummy and trimmer waistline. These workouts are total fun. Why be